Gobble, gobble, gobble. What's up, motherfuckers? Welcome to Xbox Ultimate Podcast. Hope you're all having a wonderful holiday weekend. Thank you all for being here. It's an amazing time of year. This is the start to what is my favorite time of the year. Starts kind of with Thanksgiving, or actually, to be honest with you, kind of starts with Halloween, but carries through. Then we got Thanksgiving, then we got Christmas coming up in December, or whatever holiday you celebrate in December. But like this is an awesome time. It's also a time of reflection. It's a time to look back, right? We got lots of stuff coming up in the next few weeks. We got the Game Awards. We got all these like news that's probably going to drop from that. So I feel like this is a good week to take a look back at the year that Xbox has had in 2023 and kind of see how they did. And, you know, if you've been listening to this show, then you probably got an idea of where we're going with that. But we're going to have some fun today and appreciate each and every single one of you for tuning into the show tonight. I hope you had an awesome Thanksgiving, or if you didn't celebrate Thanksgiving, I just hope you had an awesome Thursday. But let's go. Let's have some fun with this panel. Psycho's not going to be here tonight because he is holding down the fort. I don't know if he's still by himself, but I know earlier today he said he was by himself working, holding down the fort at GameStop on Black Friday. That's got to suck, being by yourself on Black Friday at a retail store, right? But good luck to you, Psycho. If you're out, if you can hear us, man, I hope you're having an awesome day. He had a long day the other day too. He worked till like 2:30 in the morning or something like that on Wednesday night. Just insane stuff. These are retail workers. You're heroes too, guys. But yeah, let's get to the people that are here tonight. What is up to Jasper? How you doing, bro?
Doing pretty good. Finally got a chance to sit down and play some games. So I've been playing Call of Duty Zombies all day today, trying to finish that like story mode to get the bone collector skin. I'm almost there. Just got like 6 more missions and then I'm done.
Nice. I was playing zombies with Kate today too. Pong Soul was playing with us yesterday. What's up with you, Pong? How you doing?
Oh, not too bad, brother. Not too bad. It's a good Friday night to be here with the fam. Great to see the chat as always. We started off the day with a great show over on Boomstick's channel, Double Barrel Gaming.
Yes,
so that was a little different, man. I haven't been over there in a long time. It was fun. We had the brothers together over there. So yeah, man, great way to end the Friday night on a nice long holiday weekend. So we got some things to talk about tonight because Xbox 2023 has been particularly good. So you know how that rolls here. But yeah, let's get down to business.
Yeah, right on, man. So we were playing zombies yesterday, and I kind of got me and Pong into a little bit of a pickle. Me, Pong, and Kate, we waited a little bit too long to try and get to the extract, and I looked on the map and thought that was going to be the best one to go to. It turns out we got there, and it was grayed out. It didn't come back. The storm closed in on us. Then all of a sudden, all of the extracts disappeared.
Yeah, if once the circle covers all the extractions, it moves the extraction to the farthest possible corner.
I wish I had known that because we kind of got fucked. And
we did.
We're all the way on the opposite side of the entire map was the new extraction point. And we couldn't make it. Somehow Kate was magic, and she was able to survive with 30 seconds left. She's able to get out of the
Kate's health bar was not dropping at all.
Yeah, her health bar did not move. I don't know if
which was crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. However, I died, and Pong Soul died, and we lost all of our shit. And we had a schematic in there. We had our 3 plates. We had everything. But Pong, I have news for you, bro.
Yeah.
So you know how I told you that, hey, we might have had the tombstone thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did. I had it.
Yeah.
So I was able to get to it. I was able to get my schematic. back,
Nice.
and I was able to get some of the other stuff I was carrying. But I was disappointed to know that the tombstone does not carry your 3 plates or your large rucksack or anything like that. So I still lost all that. However, just
Does your
2 rounds.
does
I got it back.
Tombstone? I don't know how it works in or Warzone, like zombies, whatever. But does it carry over to the next game, like you get your stuff, or is it that match?
You get it that
Next game.
match. Well, no.
Is it-
So when you start
it's
the
next
next game,
Yeah.
it shows an icon on the map, and you can go to
Oh,
it
okay.
and get your stuff out.
Because I
Right?
was wondering how that worked. Because in round-based zombies, it was just like you come back and then like you just run to your dead body. So
Right.
I didn't know how that was going to
Yeah,
work.
it shows a cross, and immediately it's the first thing. It already highlights it for you.
Yeah.
So like you just run to it, you grab your stuff, and you can use all the stuff that match, right? If you want to. I thought that's what you're asking, but anyway, and then 2 more rounds, Pong. I got my 3 plate back, got my
Nice.
rucksack back, so we're good. We're gravy. Everything's
No,
good.
you're gravy. I'm not gravy. You're gravy.
You could have played with us today.
You're gravy. I'm not gravy. No, I couldn't have played with you today. You're gravy. I'm not gravy. So yeah. So that's I should have bought the tombstone. I didn't even think about it when we were by it.
Yeah.
So I didn't think we were gonna have any problems. So because we were rolling through so easily, we were doing really well.
We got a little
so
overconfident
sucks.
with the time, I think.
Yeah,
Anyway.
we did. Well, we didn't know that the check or the
we didn't have no
was going to
idea.
be across the map. So
Yeah, and that they
had
were
we
gonna
known that, we would have
disappear.
headed that way. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
How are you doing, Fuzz?
I'm doing pretty good. Glad to be here with you guys. Man, just looking at Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it these days. And man, just people are still fixated on arguing that Xbox tax doesn't exist when, evidence is clear in front of their faces.
Yeah.
We'll get into it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit tonight. I'm planning on maybe doing a stream tomorrow. I'm gonna go a little deeper on that too. I really haven't had one, to talk about that specifically. But the conversation keeps happening and stuff. So there's somebody that made a video today, and I feel like picking that apart, dissecting it a little bit. So look out for that tomorrow as well. But yeah, I kind of wanted to do a couple things. So on Boom Show today, I was lucky enough to be a guest this morning on Breakfast with Boom at bright and early 9 a.m. our time. And we kind of shared some things in gaming and Xbox and stuff that we're thankful for. But I got to say, chat, I'm thankful for you guys. You guys rock. This community honestly means so much to me. And Kaitlin, and you guys have really added a lot to our lives over the last few years. So, number one, that's the most important thing, and the family that we have here too, right? Jasper, Fuzzy, Pong, Bob, Game Pass Dad, Psycho. Everybody's just been absolutely amazing, and for taking part in everything we do for so long. So, thank you to you guys too. Appreciate you. And hopefully, we'll see how long everybody can still keep doing this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But like, I want to keep it going for as long as we can. Because this is a lot of fun, hell of a lot of fun. But specifically like with gaming and Xbox, like I want to look back to 2023. Right? Is there anything that stands out to you, Jasper, that is like the highlight for 2023 for you that you're most thankful for?
From Xbox?
From Xbox, yeah. This is an Xbox podcast. Fuck everything else.
I would say them actually supporting Age of Empires now. Like, it's been kind of like a weird thing where it's never been on console. So, like, I'm kind of glad that Age has been introduced to, like, a lot more people. So, I guess that.
Age, yeah. Yeah, you kind of got some inside stuff this year on Age, too. It was pretty cool, right? I got to see some things and check out
I don't know how much if I can talk about it.
I don't know
it's
what
out.
you can say or not, but like I thought that was pretty awesome, you know what I mean? Like, and we got 2 different Age of Empires on Xbox this year. That fucking blows my mind. I think the last time that game came to a console was back on PS2.
Yeah, and there was a DS version too. I don't know if it was after that, but
yeah, probably around the same time.
Yeah,
I would think, right? But yeah, that's a good one, man. What about you, Fuzz?
Ooh, that's a tough one to narrow down, but I would say just in general, this year, as far as what's been in Game Pass, what they've released, Hi-Fi Rush came out of nowhere. Starfield definitely took up a lot of my playtime and kind of forced things a bit more just before Forza hit, and Forza being, me being the racing fan, that was like a good way to pretty much take up all of my
Yeah.
my free time as far as gaming is concerned. But from an Xbox standpoint, just the titles that they released, first party, and everything that they put in Game Pass this year, and just the ABK deal, that for other reasons, I definitely appreciate that going through this year. But just the fact that we now have all of those games in our service, all of those games are going to be, supported and backed by Microsoft. I think that's the biggest thing. Just looking forward to,
Yeah.
all the games and time frame from this year and on forward. So
What do you think the future is for Forza Motorsport? Right? Like how much, because I've been thinking about this, right? Because I've been playing the shit out of it too. And Forza is a game that is amazing in like all the ways that matter, right? But it's missing some things too that could make it kind of put it over the top, right? What do you think, like, this is something they're going to kind of just keep overhauling and adding stuff, like really adding stuff to, or do you think it's going to be pretty much the same kind of thing they did in the past with Forza, just maybe expanded a little bit? You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's going to be a mixture of the two. Like, they're still going to have car packs. They're still going to add tracks, every so often. Although I think they'll do a good bit more of adding tracks and things like that. But I think this time we'll see some more mode stuff like drifting, drag racing. I think those are definites. I think we even see something with either rally or dirt or something along those lines as far as being mixed into it as well.
They don't have
lot
like
of
a
the
season thing like going on, like a battle pass season, like every 3 months they rotate a season out. Do they have that?
No, they don't really do like a season pass. Now they've had, instead of a season pass, they've had like the car pass where you get a new car every week kind of thing for like, I think it's like 18 weeks or something. But yeah, for the most part, no seasons just yet. But they do a weekly thing in what do you call them? Horizon. So they could do something along those lines. The closest they did in Motorsport 7 was like they would have rivals challenges where the community would beat Phil Spencer's time at a certain track, or they would beat one of the producers over at Turn 10's track time. And if you do that, you would get a car. If you were in the top 100, you get an even more limited edition or special edition car. So they've had weekly challenges and things like that before, but not like a normal season pass kind of deal.
That's what I was thinking,
battle
because it would be a good way to like coming this season. We're going to introduce drag racing or whatever, and they just have like a whole like month of just like drag racing content drop or something. But
yeah,
that would be a nice add-on. I mean, they're definitely going to have to do something in the sense of how they introduce those modes, because some people, by the time the drag racing comes out, they may have moved on to just focusing on track racing stuff. But it would be a cool way to implement it or introduce it to the fan base. So
yeah. The reason I was kind of asking you that is like I kind of take a look at what they've done with some of the other games, like now that they're calling this like games as a service, right, and live service. Like almost all of them that they have, they've kind of really transformed into something way bigger than it ever was originally, and like they're almost different games now. You know what I mean? And even Halo Infinite's been out for 2 years, but 2 years later, it's like insane amount of content, right? Or Grounded, that was just a small team, is now just a completely different game than when it originally started, even since its official launch just a year ago. And like at every single one of these games, Sea of Thieves and all that stuff. And I've just wondered, like, are they gonna put that amount of effort into this as a games of service? You know what I mean? Like that would be freaking amazing if they did, but we'll see. I don't know. I think the jury's still out. Might just be car packs and rotating content and stuff like that. But
Well, some licenses have recently become available since Motorsport Games is completely imploding. They were this company that used to be an online magazine that bought up smaller devs that used to do like NASCAR stuff and IndyCar stuff, and they're on the verge of going bankrupt. So they were holding on to these licenses that kind of prevented other teams from making stuff. So now that the BTCC, which is like the British Touring Car Championship, that's up for grabs now. I think IndyCar is up for grabs. NASCAR was picked up by iRacing, but I don't think NASCAR is worried about doing exclusive only deals anymore. So the fact that, Microsoft or Xbox has had NASCAR before in Forza, I could see them possibly mixing that in there. And then Le Mans and like the World Endurance Car Championship, hopefully we see all of those kind of make their way in as like full on like not really leagues, but divisions and things like that within motorsport. So that way you have all the cars that are there now, and then you might have more focused stuff on just those specific like types of cars and things like that. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, even like Jasper Age they're kind of doing that, right? Like they already came out with expansion for factions and stuff like that already, with Age 2, and I'm sure the plan is for the future to keep doing stuff with Age 4 as well, right? So I love that model. I know some people don't, but like
it depends on the game. Like with Age, it's not too bad because you can earn everything and that you're not really paying for anything. But like when it comes to stuff like pay $30 for a fucking skin or some shit, it gets kind of annoying.
Yeah, I hear you there. I think games that are kind of more focused around multiplayer also or have a large multiplayer component, obviously it makes a lot more sense for, but like you don't want to turn like Hellblade 2 into like a fucking games of service. Hey, Pong Soul, man. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. It's just like every week, bro. What looking back at 2023 on Xbox specifically stands out to you're the most thankful for that?
Yeah, we talked about this morning on Boom Show quite a bit. So, obviously for me, if I got to point to one specific thing, it's Starfield, right? Bethesda's the acquisition of Bethesda and ZeniMax. We've been waiting for a while to get something, from them directly after that acquisition. And obviously Redfall hit and it didn't land the way we thought it all would. But that wasn't necessarily the big one that I was looking forward to. Obviously I was looking for Bethesda's next big game, and it got delayed by a year. It got extra time in the oven to fix some things. And Bethesda made a Bethesda game, which I'm the most thankful for. And it was the most polished Bethesda game that they've ever had. And you can sit there and say, well, yeah, it still had bugs. It still had this. It still had this. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Xbox gave them more time, gave Todd and his team more time to get back to work, polish it up even more. Even though we thought it was going to come in March, which it could have, they got all the way until September, and it shows. It showed through and through in this game. And for me, we don't get those Bethesda games very often, and Bethesda didn't change what they do. Now, some people have held that against them. Some people think that they're antiquated at this point in 2023, that Todd and his team need to come to the 2020s. We can't do the same thing anymore. Look, my favorite games of all time are Bethesda games, Oblivion, Skyrim, and even the Fallouts. I do enjoy the Fallouts, even though I don't like them as much as the Elder Scrolls series. And they were games of the year. They were games of the generations when they came out. They're games that people are still playing today in 2023, all these years later. So I didn't want anything different from Todd and his team, but Todd and his team surpassed my hype. So if there's one thing I have to point to is Starfield, because I'm playing it and I've got nearly 300 hours in, or over 300, whatever it is now. Haven't touched the main storyline. Not bored with it. I'm just exploring. I just surveyed another planet. It's just an absolutely incredible experience. And for 2023, that is my highlight of this year. And then obviously, if you want to get bigger and broader a little bit, it's the diversity that Xbox continues to push upon us, which I love. Now, some people might say, well, they don't have that one PlayStation like game. That's fine. That's fine. You guys can, wait for that. Hellblade 2 is coming and maybe that'll be it. You can say it, but I'll take all the other genres that Xbox is giving us right now, especially in 2023, over just one of those games any day of the week. And you guys brought it up, Jasper brought it up, Age of Empires. I mean, again, the resurgence of RTSs, tactical and strategy games, is huge, especially in the console space. They've still been something on PC. They're still played on PC constantly, but for niche genre, as everybody likes to call it, we look at Baldur's Gate 3 this year, which is an Xbox, but it is coming to Xbox, and they push the bar a little bit higher. But when it comes to RTS specifically, Xbox and Age of Empires has been one of the Mount Rushmores of RTSs. And the fact that they did bring them to console, like Jasper said, finally, has been the greatest of joys. Because again, the more people that get to play those types of games, the more chances we get bigger fans of RTSs. And the more of those games keep coming out for us. So, the fact that they push that along with all these other genres, you got Hi-Fi Rush, which again wasn't for me, but it's a rhythm-based game. It was a brand new IP. It came out of nowhere, original soundtrack, just absolutely incredible as far as the polish on that game goes and the performance on that game goes. And people loved it. That's the diversity, big, small, everything in between. That's what Xbox is giving us. And I expect it to be even more since they've got all these studios now. But 2023 was definitely a diverse lineup for Xbox. And listen, they didn't give up on Redfall. And that's the other thing I'm thankful for when it comes to Xbox. We see other publishers, other devs, other console manufacturers give up on things when things, when something doesn't go right, especially in the games side of things. Xbox has continued to prove that they're willing to put the time, resources, and money to allow these teams to go back and fix their games and make them what they originally had envisioned, or at least try to come close. And so the fact that they're still working on Redfall in 2023 gave us another patch, which was a huge update. Mav and I went back and played through it. And obviously we didn't beat it, but we played it for like 5-6 hours that day. And it was really fun. It was a really great time. Steele and I had played it on PC before, and I thought that the base was there for something cool. But this update definitely fixed Redfall in a lot of different ways, and they're going to keep working on Redfall. Not that Redfall is ever going to be a giant IP, but that's not what I'm thankful for. I'm just thankful that Xbox looks at it and says, we're not just going to throw it away. It's going to be in Game Pass forever. It is a part of our ecosystem. It does have our stamp on it as an Xbox game. We're just going to make sure that if somebody jumps into Game Pass or picks up Redfall down the line, a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, when they play that game, it's in the best place possible. And they can say that they got a good experience out of it. That's what I'm thankful for Xbox this year. They've proven a lot of different things to me this year for sure.
Yeah. It's been a big year, bro.
Yeah.
So if we're talking back to Starfield, like,
yeah,
you're saying it's something like I've been thinking a lot too, is like, that is a Bethesda game, right?
Through and through.
And then for some reason, some people expected otherwise, or even though they told them that's what it was going to be, or some people think it's not enough of that also, right? And I've seen both arguments from the people that aren't big fans of it. And for me, it's kind of like if you have people arguing on both sides, like, oh, I want it to be more like Skyrim, right? And then you have other people being like, oh, this formula is tired. I'm sick of Bethesda games. It's like, they kind of met right in the middle. You know what I mean? Like, because they didn't necessarily please either side of those people for sure. For me, it kind of seemed like something that different for them in the way it's structured because it's in space, right?
Yes.
But it still kept the core elements of what makes a Bethesda game, right?
Correct.
So,
I mean, it's always hard to explain, right? Why certain IPs get a pass. We talked about this. They can be the same for a very long time. Why were Skyrim and Fallout 4 good enough last generation to be considered great games? I know Fallout 4 didn't get the the singular praise that Skyrim did. There was some people who did not like Fallout 4 originally.
It's even used
but,
against Starfield. Like, oh, it's
right,
not like Fallout
right,
4. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. More people come back around to it. Why was it okay back then, but it's not okay now? I mean, again, Bethesda is the only studio that does games like this. I don't understand. I get the fact that some people will feel like the exploration is different because it is, because of the scope and because of what they had to do with all the planets. And so I can understand how some people can't get into it the way they did with one landmass, as in a Fallout or an Elder Scrolls, where you just have one solid landmass, you are set free, and you just go off and travel. Now it's broken up because you're traveling to different planets, you're doing that kind of stuff, and the procedural generation comes in, and some people feel that it's too samey. For me, all I did was, once I started traveling around to the planets, for whatever reason, it just flipped in my mind. And I'm like, no, this is like the same. It's just in different worlds. And the procedural generated content, sure, I come across the same bases, but I also keep coming across things that I've never seen before in 300 hours, visiting planets. There's a ton in there. And when I get to those bases, man, and you and I talked about this in the background, when I get to those bases, I like action RPGs. I don't know about you guys. I like action RPGs like Diablo.
Yeah.
There's a certain grind to every RPG, and that's no different with Bethesda games. So when I come across one of those, I think of them like a dungeon in Diablo. And in Diablo, we run dungeons, the same dungeons 50, 100 times, right? That's how I just look at that. Now, again,
like 4 templates for the dungeons in Diablo.
Exactly. So I've played games like that, so it really doesn't bother me. Would I like to see more? Of course.
That was my biggest complaint, was the space activity was lacking. There should have been more stuff in space, dude. That was like my biggest problem.
I have zero problem with that, Jasper, because of the way I'm playing with it. Right? Because I carry $3 million bounties everywhere. Okay. I'm constantly having space combat, and I'm constantly
It's
engaged.
not just like combat. I'm just like EVA, like go out, repair a ship, like EVA style stuff like that.
And I hear you. But what I'm saying is that for the way I'm playing it, I don't get bored in space. I sit and spend days in space because I'm going around pirating people and getting into constant firefights and collecting all the resources and everything I can get my hands on. Again, I understand no game is universally loved. Not even Skyrim's universally loved. You can go on Reddit right now and find entire posts of people who claim that Bethesda's been long overrated. They've never been good, and all their games should be considered shit. Right? That's where we're at. So I didn't expect this to hit for everybody. Right? That was going to be something different because they were trying something new. Again, for me, it was something that caught me off guard, as hyped as I was, that it could actually top my overall opinion of the game for a Skyrim or an Oblivion, which are my 2 favorite games of all time. I was just shocked that they could surpass that. But with what they did with the Creation Engine 2.0, with the updates that they did to the gunplay, the combat, for their first time ever doing space vehicular combat, to be in the top 3/4, 75% plus of space games when it comes to feeling of that combat is incredible. Like, they did so many things so well in Starfield that's why for me it surpassed everything. And just the overall package is my favorite game of all time. I just, again, sorry, I didn't mean to go into the Starfield, right? But it's 2023. I'm so thankful for it.
The beginning for that too. You know what I mean? Like, I can't wait to see what the future holds for that game. And it's not a games as a service, right? But like, it's a game that's going to keep getting updated. They've already done some good updates on it, right? But with the modding community too.
In like 4 years when they get like the 4th major DLC out, like it's gonna be a completely different game. So
people are gonna come back over and over again. It happens.
10 years from now,
they added fishing 10 years later in fucking Skyrim.
Correct.
10 years from now, there will be a different conversation that people will be having about Starfield.
Which is fine. I mean, again, the fact that those games last that long should say something to people, but they don't, right? They don't. They treat them as, they don't take it from. We had this conversation when it first happened, man. For whatever reason, with Starfield this year in the reviews, it was what's missing versus what's there.
Right.
Whereas in other games, oh, we'll mention what we would like to see, but we really don't count it against it. We're going to talk about all the stuff we absolutely loved about this game, and we're going to review it based upon that. But the Starfield reviews, especially the middling reviews, were more about, oh, I really wanted to see this. Oh, it didn't have this. Oh, I was expecting it to be like this. That's where sometimes I go, why? What is it about now Bethesda games that you guys want to do this? Because there's plenty of stuff missing in Skyrim, there's plenty of stuff missing in Fallouts, but you guys didn't focus so much on that back then. You gave it Game of the Year
about like all the stuff
correct
you could do that you can't do in other games, right?
Is it because Bethesda is so damn good at what they do and they've been doing it for so long now that magic has worn off? I'll tell you something, the magic hasn't worn off for me one bit. When I jump into a Bethesda game, I know it's different from everything else that I'm playing.
Right? Like in your own world.
It's different.
Right?
Yep.
That kind of takes to that. I mean, we might as well just discuss a little bit of it here, like this whole Xbox tax thing, because like the biggest game revolving around that is Starfield, right? And to that I say, to when people were talking about it kind of getting snubbed for Game of the Year, which I think almost every single one of us here, maybe except for Fuzzy, didn't expect it to be nominated for Game of the Year. Just because it was such a stacked year and how it was perceived from the media, we didn't think it necessarily had a chance with that group, right? Even though we think it may have deserved it, you know? But I saw a lot of the arguments against like this Xbox tax and against the bias and stuff, saying like, you know, Starfield didn't deserve this or didn't deserve that because of the review scores, right? Well, but they also, those same people did acknowledge that there were some really suspect reviews that were in there that actually knocked that down. Namely, one of them was Metro. And then another one was Jim Sterling's review, right? Both of those reviews, when they dropped, the score dropped an entire point on Metacritic. And those were both late reviews, right? So, and you saw it. You could see the score kept updating, and when those new reviews kept coming in, and then those reviews were just like ridiculous. And those were the most suspect ones out there, right? Even above like IGN 7 and those kind of things, right? So even the people that are arguing that there is no bias, there's no like thing against Xbox or no thing against that or whatever, still do acknowledge the fact that those scores were kind of ridiculous, and the takes that these people had. They had an agenda against Xbox in those specific situations, or they're just writing a trash article, right? For clicks. So if that's actually affecting the score, but then you go and say, but the game didn't deserve it because of the score, then how can you not say that didn't have an impact on the perception of the game? Because ultimately you're looking at the score, which you have admittedly said to yourself is tainted. If the score cannot be used in any kind of metric for actually judging something now because of the bullshit that goes on within the review, it's in the game's media, but then you go and claim that there's nothing there, that it's all people just making shit up, when the evidence is actually clearly there that it has had an impact. And then as much so to where people be like, oh, it's a problem that Xbox doesn't have a game nominated for Game of the Year. We're still worried about this brand now. Oh, because, you know, what's wrong with Xbox? That, you know, and they don't have any games of the year this year in the nominees. And you're talking about some big people out there in the community and creators out there that are kind of saying this stuff. And now people are saying, oh, but they just need that one game that has that extra oomph, you know, that extra thing. Starfield was that for me. I mean, what more could we ask for than a game that has the scope and ambition of a game like Starfield? Like, what do people want them to create? I mean, that's like one of the most ambitious games ever created, yet it's not enough now because of the Metacritic score, which is obviously tainted from some of the bullshit articles and reviews that have counted against it. So it's just like, it doesn't make any sense with how that, and I do think over time it's going to change.
With Starfield, I think that people were expecting like a mind-blowing like experience, but when you had like the transitions between like traveling from each planet to planet, it kind of broke it up so it wasn't seamless. Like if it was seamless, I think it would have done a lot better. But I just feel that like people kind of over expected that, whereas like
Yes,
it's going to be like a seamless
you know
universe.
why though, right, Jasper? Because of all those damn comparisons, which we called out early on. We try to say it is not that fucking kind of game. We kept saying this. People are like,
It's not No Man's Sky.
Why are people so triggered when you're saying it's not like No Man's Sky? And we're like, because it's not like No Man's Sky. You're basically putting fake, false information into people's minds, which inherently will give them false expectations of what the fucking game is. So stop comparing it to a game that's not even anywhere near in the same genre. It has the same setting. That is two completely fucking different things. Yes, you can inherently, because it's in space, do some of these same things, but they are completely different kinds of games. So when people like Destin Ligarian out there would be like, I don't understand why everybody keeps saying No Man's Sky is a great game, because you don't understand what the fuck you're talking about. No, Starfield is nothing like it. And those kind of comparisons, because it was in space and people looking at it, talking about explorations and thinking those kind of games is like, oh, we're going to get that kind of game, but it's made by Bethesda. Oh, this is going to be amazing because it's going to be like No Man's Sky, but also with the dialogue of like Bethesda. It's going to be so cool. But when it's not like that, it's all, oh, what? This is missing. Oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could fly to every planet. Oh, I can't land on the planet. Oh, I can't take off from the planet. I can't do this. I'm going to knock it 30 points from my review score because of these things that never had any intention of being in the game in the first place, right? So that is the problem there. And that comes back again. People forget. Yes, games have high expectations. Games have like a lot of excitement and everything. But at the end of the day, it's still a fucking video game. There's limits to what you can do. A game can't be every fucking possible thing you could ever dream of under the sun into one package, because these are still human beings at the end of the day trying to create this, right? Like,
well, and other games aren't Mav, and they still score very well.
Yes,
so.
Because they are accepting those games for what they are, right? And I don't. That's you hit it nail on the head. That's what I've always said. Like, review that game for what it is, not what it isn't, and especially a game that gives you as much as there is to do in Starfield, right? So anyway, to me, that's kind of like an example of what's going on. But like,
it's so weird, Mav, because people like Destin, and I like Destin.
Yeah, me too.
I really like Destin.
I'll cuss out him and call him an idiot, but I think still like the guy.
I think he's a good dude.
Yeah.
But this is the problem with legacy media. It's not just in the game industry, it's everywhere. They feel under attack. They feel like because of what's happening, and smaller content creators now have, in some instances, almost equal footing as some of the big legacy media. And in some cases, I mean, we know plenty of content creators that get more views than all the legacy
people with 10 million
together.
Subscribers are almost as much as IGN. They have a bigger voice in the whole fucking company.
Exactly. So they get really defensive about this stuff. And they cover for their industry, which is fine. Again, I talked about this, before too, with certain people. Ty Guy Travis has been out here defending IGN for a long time. And I like Ty Guy. I don't have a problem with Travis at all. They're going to defend their livelihood, but Destin is not. Destin is your classic legacy media member. He tries to be down in the community, and he does more videos, and he's got his own YouTube channel, and he tries to do that. But the problem with a lot of these guys and gals is that when they talk about stuff that they see going on, they don't understand the full context. And you can tell they're not a part of the conversation. They jump into the fray when they feel like it's something to do. And Destin pretty much said that in his video today. He felt like he needed to come talk about this today. Yeah, because the Xbox tech comes back to the wider media, you guys. So of course you're going to feel like you got to jump in today and defend and say it's insane. He tried to say, well, I'm not trying to talk bad about people, but he kept using the word insane. How many insane things have we seen over the past 2 decades that have been true at the end of the day when the legacy media tried to tell us it wasn't true? Okay, come on, Destin. He's not a part of the community. He doesn't understand the full context. He picks and chooses. He's being purposely obtuse about the subject. He gets close a couple times to actually figuring it out on his own as he's talking, but you can see him shy away from it when he does. The fact is Xbox tax is used in different definitions for certain people. Certain people have specific games like Starfield that they believe should have been in Game of the Year. I said from long ago, I didn't think it was going to cut the mustard. I didn't think it was going to get in there. For me, Xbox tax isn't anything specific, right? It's not anything specific. It's a general feeling about Microsoft and Xbox that is pervasive. Ever since the end of the 360 generation, this is something that's been building up to this moment. Now, of course, a part of it is Xbox's failings. That's always been acknowledged by any of us who talk about this on a regular basis. They lost their popularity that they had coming off the 360 generation. They blew it. But that's all a part of it. Again, the facts are Destin ignores because he says, what is this, some grand conspiracy amongst all the media? No, it's not some grand conspiracy amongst all the media.
It's like lumping it into that one little idea is the ridiculous thing in the first place, right?
Right. And they use conspiracy to shut down conversation. The language that is used by the media, you have to be very well aware of. It's also used by people in general when they don't want to talk about something. Everybody should start becoming aware of this stuff. They use conspiracy because it creates images, and it's been used time and time again in all areas of life now for the past decade to shut down conversation. The facts are it's not a grand conspiracy amongst all media. Okay. Not all media hates Xbox. Not all media has something against Microsoft. Not all media is biased when it comes to reviews in the video game sector. That's not the case.
Secret meeting where they're all getting together.
No, that's not a cabal. It's not some kind of crazy cult, okay? Anti-Xbox cult. It's not like that. It's a general feeling amongst a maybe majority, because again, the majority, if you did a poll, I can almost guarantee you, I would bet money, if you did a poll on all the reviewers across the globe and ask them what consoles they personally own, I can guarantee you Xbox would probably be in the 30%.
I was going to say 75, 25, but
yeah,
probably
right,
lower.
Jasper, somewhere in there, maybe even lower. But that's what I'm saying. So when that, and again, we'll never know for that's a fact, but I'm saying that I can guess it just from again, if you want to go back, look at third-party requests when a third-party game, multiplat game comes out, look at the request for PlayStation review copies versus Xbox copies. It matches the console sale disparity, okay? That's just, it is what it is. That's a fact. When you have those facts, and most people think of themselves as a PlayStation gamer when they're not writing a review, well, of course, there's going to be a sentiment there. They chose personally to become a PlayStation player because they probably came up, a lot of them, not the older ones, but a lot of them came up during the PlayStation era. And the older ones were around when PlayStation 1 came out and started dominating, just like me. And they probably have owned every PlayStation since. It is going to affect how they feel about Xbox when Xbox has a bad generation like they did generation. And it's going to be, again, the conversation is how much does it affect things?
Even like subconsciously, like
yes,
if you spend money in an ecosystem,
correct,
you're going to subconsciously favor that. Like,
and we see it, Jasper, because to Mav's last point, I know I'm being long-winded here, and we just talked about this last week too, but to Mav's exact point, the problem this has created is because a lot of these people are PlayStation fans, okay, which is fine. You can be a PlayStation fan. That's great. They are in the same boat as the loud circus in our community who believes that only the PlayStation third person over the shoulder narrative driven games are the premium experience. That's why all of a sudden Bethesda is no longer good enough. Oh, they had their narrative in there, but oh man, that's such a dated way to do it, to focus the camera on the person. I'd like a cinematic more experience, like we get with the Sony games.
I want Starfield to be like God of War.
Right. This is why, because when you have people that do think about Sony that way in PlayStation, they've been brought up the same way underneath the same propaganda from PlayStation that all the players have. And you can say, well, they should be above it. They're professionals. Again, that's all long gone. The integrity of the journalistic industry is burned to the ground. It's gone. They're all editorial now. That's all they are. They write editorials. They don't care about that anymore. So that comes into play when we start seeing these things. And again, you see something like the PlayStation Portal come out. It gets an 8 from IGN, and the guy reviewing it admits that you can't go anywhere with it if it asks you for a code, and yet that's what you that's still acceptable because it's PlayStation.
Features,
right? That's the most basic of features in 2023, but he gives it an 8 and says it's great. If Xbox made a same device, I would put money down that it would score
a 3.
Under 8. Well, I was going to say a 6. I can guarantee you it between a 5 and a 6 if Xbox did the same thing. And that again is just the Xbox tax. It doesn't have to be something specific. There are reviewers out there. Again, Destin pulled up the reviews. We already know there's certain reviewers who don't have a problem with Xbox. They reviewed Forza Horizon 5 and gave it a 10. That's great. That's fantastic. Again, this isn't an all or nothing thing. This is just whether or not it's enough people to affect things overall. And again, it is. In my opinion, it affects certain scores. Games do come out, get less of a chance because they're not attached to PlayStation. I think Starfield would have scored a half a point to a point higher overall had it been on PlayStation as well as Xbox. I think all of that plays into it. I just don't understand why Destin could sit here and he just makes this argument like, again, he goes to the extreme. Oh, there's some grand conspiracy amongst everybody. No, of course it isn't, Destin. Nobody's saying that, okay? Nobody's saying everybody, but you turn it into that to make everybody that has a problem with this or wants to talk about it suddenly seem insane in your words. And that's a way to shut down the conversation. And I don't like it. I think it's something that we do have to talk about. I even saw people trying to say now, I saw some people trying to say now that Hogwarts didn't make it on any reason politically. I'm like, you guys,
not
you guys
one
got
nomination, even in like any of the action adventure categories.
What is it? The whole
blind or
the whole world's politics affected Hogwarts. Yes. Because it's political in nature. And if you look at the overall industry, it's obviously more people in the journalistic side of things are going to lean that way. So yes, it does affect a game like Hogwarts. There was
journalists that even refused to review it.
Correct.
Yeah. And those that do are possibly afraid of getting attacked from the other side. So it's fucking
correct. They don't want to give it
sword.
up. Yes, they don't want to speak out. Sorry, I was very long-winded. This stuff just gets me irritated and frustrated.
I mean, you did great breaking it down, though, man. Yeah. I mean, it's like it's blatant to many of us, and then the ones that want to try and act like it doesn't exist, try and pin everything into this narrow version of that that's easily dismissible.
Right. It's insane at that point.
Yeah.
I have a good parallel for any of those that want to detract from it being a bias or anything like that. Look at the automotive industry and how it, American cars were always the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then the 80s and 90s happened. And we saw how even the automotive industry or the automotive media started favoring imports. And that continues even to this day, with one exception. There's one American brand that they kind of give a pass, but that's a new kid on the block, being Tesla. But for the longest time, rightfully so, the American industry was, not in the greatest of space when they were copying, pasting, front ends from a Chevy Cavalier to a Cadillac Cimarron kind of deal. So you had a lot of issues as far as the quality was, lacking a bit. And they were, taking shortcuts, selling you a more expensive version of a cheaper car. As time went on, the imports became more of the favored child, but then they started doing the same thing. Like, I'll be honest with you, if you did not know that an Acura was a Honda or an Infiniti was a Nissan, I don't know what to tell you. Oh, and that Lexus is the Toyota, but they didn't necessarily do the exact type of copy and paste. They did go and add the sound deadening, the leather seats and all that as a standard type of thing. But as companies like Buick and Oldsmobile and Cadillac started making better quality cars, the automotive industry still ignored that they were actually making gains. So it wound up being a thing where until the JD Power Associate surveys from owners of those vehicles started coming in saying that, hey, this Buick lasted longer than the Acura that I bought before or the Mercedes I bought before. That's when the media would start to take notice. All right, well, maybe the American cars are back, even though for the longest time they wanted to say, oh, no, American cars are crap and these cars are better. But yet, in some cases, yeah, if you look at the numbers, Tauruses were outselling Accords for the longest time until they stopped making Tauruses. The F-150 still outsells pretty much any other brand of truck, including imports, and in some cases,
but you can't kill a Camry.
Well, you can't kill a Camry. Well, you can kill just about any car, but like the quality of a Camry is great, but it's not like the only car that you can buy and it lasts 10, 15 years if you perform proper maintenance and things like that. So there was a bias amongst all of the automotive media, whether it was Car and Driver, Road and Track, Motor Trend, and they slowly ease things about, like, if it's not a direct competing car, like the Corvette doesn't really have that many within reasonable price as far as a competing brand, although they will always pair it against like a Porsche or a Ferrari and stuff like that. But there was no, thing from Toyota as far as like the Supra had died off a long time ago and they're just recently bringing it back. So yeah, that one would get a pass. The Mustang doesn't really have direct competition, or the Camaro didn't have direct competition over at Toyota or Honda. So that one kind of get a pass in certain instances. But for the longest time, the automotive industry favored imports because of what, the old big three did that kind of spoiled everybody's outlook on things. And it to some extent still carries over to today, but that goes to show that you can still have media bias from something that occurred maybe 10, 20, 30 years ago, still affect out how things are looked at even to this day. Even though those things are no longer an issue, they still carry that grudge against, GM or Ford or Chrysler and stuff like that. But
because people end up having preferences that they've evolved over time, right?
Yeah.
And then those preferences are inherently going to change your outlook on other things that are different from that. And that's just the way it is. And if there's more people that have learned and over time become more preferable of something, when something else comes along, it's not that. They're going to be like, oh, yeah, I don't really like it's not really my style. I don't really like this, or it's missing this. It's not that kind of thing that I like, So I'm going to knock it for that. But like when a game comes out that is their style, glaringly overlook the issues, right? Glaringly overlook the things that are obvious and not discredit or really focus on those things the way they should. And that's been our issues where we talked before even this Xbox tax thing started going around. We've been talking about the issues with game reviews and the games media for a long time with instances like this. And it was games like Jedi Survivor's launch and other games in the past that have launched and gotten lower scores when they've been like super
It's not just reviews. They leave stuff off of videos. They don't mention Xbox. They either shit on it subconsciously or within the video itself or like in the thumbnails.
To your thing, I've heard a couple people when this whole Xbox tax thing started coming about this last couple weeks, Jasper. I've been listening to different shows and people keep mentioning the instance of IGN leaving off Xbox off of the game releases, right? Which they did. And you are the one that actually pointed it out, to which you got called I forget
a conspiracy theorist.
You got called a conspiracy theorist from them themselves just for pointing out the fact that they left Xbox off of the thing. You didn't say
but
anything
I included no context, but I fucking put the photos out there.
You did not say anything about a grand conspiracy or whatever. You were just like, just do better, right?
Yeah.
And that's all you said. I remember you put that. You just want them to do better, and like you call that out. It blew up, right? Max Scoville ended up calling you a conspiracy theorist, right? I remember 3-Bit had pointed something out to God, I don't remember which one this was. Is maybe Brian Altano or Dan Stapleton. I don't remember which one IGN was.
Oh yeah, he got into it with Dan, I think.
This is Dan Stapleton. He ended up saying something like to him, and it was a pretty innocent thing as well. And then he was like, "Stop!" it'd be helpful if you didn't rage tweet or something like that. Or like rage
Yeah.
tweet? Like, do you know 3-bit? He like doesn't rage at all. He just was pointing out a flaw in your system. But these fuckers are so over defensive and think that they can do no wrong, that their shit doesn't stink, that they don't make mistakes, or that they are such objective, unbiased people and they know how to do their job, and you guys are all crazy for thinking this exists. Yet you do that shit that it's so easy to point out, and you do it over and over and over again. And then when the Game of the Year awards come out, oh, whose fucking surprise is it that certain games don't get nominated for certain categories? Because these are the fuckers that are voting for it, right? That is the issue.
And it's not about us, Mav. And that's the other thing that I hate that Destin.
Yes.
Again, whenever they talk about this, they act like, oh, we'll just stop going to those people and reading their articles. Stop. It's not
stupid as shit.
It's the Xbox tax doesn't affect those of us who understand what the hell's going on. That's not who it affects. It affects the wider audience, Destin, and you should know this. IGN is not just relegated to our little community on X. Okay, Destin, you know this. It goes out worldwide. There are people who have never heard of our community, millions, that look to IGN as one of the professional sites that they go to for their information. That's where it starts to affect the wider audience. And like I said, for me, I could care freaking less. I think Starfield is my game of the year. It's a game of the generation, my favorite game of all time. Do you think the reviews affected me? Of course they didn't. Do you think that anybody on Twitter affected my feelings about it? Of course they didn't, because I'm in this community.
But
I'm an enthusiast.
It did affect the perception
but it
of
could
the game.
affect the perception of the game to the wider audience. Absolutely.
And why does that
That's
matter,
where it
Pong?
happens.
Why does that matter?
Why does that matter? Because those are the people that have to be caught, that have to come into the ecosystem willingly, because again, that translates into more sales, that translates into more engagement. And then at the end of the day, that means that Bethesda, not saying that this isn't going to happen already because it was a success, but just take any game that this happens to, but that leads to more of those games being made. So again, if I am a fan of a certain IP or a certain developer, yes, I'm going to take notice of this stuff. And yes, I'm going to speak out on it, because it's not about me. I'm already dead set in my ways. It's about the wider casual audience that doesn't know any of this stuff, that thinks that IGN is always right, and they go to them to be told what game to go play, or their friends read IGN and tell their friends what games to play because IGN said this one's a 9. We got to go play this game. It happens. It does. It happens. As much as we like to laugh at it, it still happens to this day. And that's the stuff that they miss, Mav. They always act like they don't understand what that does. Don't watch the awards then. Who cares about the awards? They're entertainment. 3 million people watch the freaking awards. Not every one of those people are enthusiasts. There's a whole lot of people that don't pay attention to gaming news until the Game Awards come around. The same thing happens with the Oscars. The same thing happens with any awards ceremony. You get more people in watching that. And does it have an effect? Yes, it does. It absolutely 100% does. They're not meaningless. They might be meaningless to those of us that understand and that already are here and talk about this stuff and pay attention. Absolutely, of course, but not to the greater audience. And these people know that, but they all ignore it when they talk about it.
There's a reason why these companies put Game of the Year edition on the boxes and stuff like that.
Correct. And why they're bonused off of it.
Like,
again, it's not.
It's like it's easier to sell a game that's widely perceived as a great game, right?
Correct.
And when a game is perceived that way, and it has maybe it has longer legs or whatever, and word of mouth is good, and does better than expectations and all these things, and doesn't feel like the world's against it, right? You might get more of those games, like Pong said, right? You imagine Baldur's Gate 3 came out this year, and imagine that it would be like, man, this is like turn-based. It's like old school. Like this is a dead formula. And all these reviewers gave it like a 6. Do you think we would see like this much investment again into like a game like a Baldur's Gate 3? No, it was a success. One reason why is because of the perception that was permeated out by games media about how great the game was. And that gets into the word of mouth and like, oh, but this game is potentially going to win Game of the Year. It's like a masterpiece that's getting 10s everywhere.
Gotta
like,
play it.
That word of mouth like spreads and it turns into another monster, right?
And then Ubisoft comes along and is like, we got to copy that shit. How do we do that?
Exactly.
Ubisoft comes along and is like, we're going to put ads in the middle of our games now. That's a great idea.
But like when certain kinds of games have success and stuff, it does create.
It breeds.
Yes, it creates opportunity for other people to do things in the same kind of genre.
Larian would have laid off most of their staff. Larian wouldn't be talking about their next big project going big. None of that would be happening. It is a ripple effect. It's not personal. It's just, it has a wider effect. And the media knows this, but they play dumb when they want to try to call out the community and start calling people insane and conspiracy theorists to try to shut down the conversation.
It's just one person's opinion. It doesn't. Why just ignore them? Yeah.
The thing that cracks me up also about the media is they pick weird times to act like the public is dumb. So remember all of the controversy about the Series X and Series S and how grandma might not pick up the right console and it's so confusing. But yet they don't really put into great detail that the PS Portal is it requires a PS5 to even be able to use it.
Remote play device. I think it's a fucking actual mini PlayStation.
Yeah. So they make up this narrative that somehow this other console is so confusing that anybody that goes to buy it is going to obviously pick up the wrong one. But yet this device that they're, in the age of handhelds between the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally, the Lenovo Legion and all this other stuff, here comes the PS Portal and they're like, oh, it's an 8. And the only thing is that's a problem is when you go to do Wi-Fi,
you can't fucking use it outside your house.
but are they really pushing or driving the issue home that you need the PS5 first? So this is not just a $200 purchase. This is a $500 or $700 purchase if you don't already have a PS5 kind of thing. No, of course not, because that would be too much into detail, and it's like they purposely ignore that aspect to the fan base that they think are so confused on namings of consoles, but something like that, they're like, oh no, they'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's a good point, for that specifically. I think there's like I think it's almost a responsibility for a company to uphold the value to the consumer that they're selling their brand to. You know what I mean? And sometimes these companies get so big or so cocky or whatever that instead of doing stuff that adds great value to the consumer, instead it's taking advantage of their consumer and taking advantage of the will that they've gained by doing great things in the past and stuff. And for the features that were left out of that device, that is the things where it screams that it's taken advantage of. For the price point to pretty much just only be a remote play in your house kind of thing without all the extra stuff, not even fucking Bluetooth, right? That is the kind of things you look at it and be like, that's strange.
And the thing is, the Bluetooth
able to put out
the Bluetooth chip is in there, but they disabled it. So
really,
yeah.
So that is even. Oh my god,
it's even worse.
Yeah, because they didn't want to pay the fee, probably, right? Or because they wanted to sell more headphones.
Yeah, you can't even use the 3D pulse on it. Their own headphones, you can't even use.
Yeah, they want to sell those.
You have to get the new ones.
They want to sell those $200 earbuds,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And not that you have to, right? But that's going to be the best thing to use for this device. It's going to be like, hey, and it goes great with the $200 pair of earbuds. You know what I mean? You go get those things. It's going to work great on this PS Portal. When all these kids open it up for Christmas and realize, hey, what am I going to do with this fucking thing? I don't have a PS5.
I'm kind of wondering if, like, in like a year or so, they enable the Bluetooth, like how the Switch did it, like where like the Switch like a year later enabled it so you could use other headsets and stuff. They just want to sell their $200 headsets first, and then
we'll see. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. Like, it needs more functionality, man. But like, it's not going to get called out.
Oh my god, that should be another class action lawsuit. Yeah. Not only are they getting sued in the EU or whatever for the store thing, but if they turn that on and then I can use my current headphones, whatever the 3D ones for my PS5, then yeah, that needs to be a class action lawsuit.
Yeah,
like No
It's-
no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
It's just interesting. I mean, you really look back at this year that Xbox had in 2023, and I honestly don't feel like they've gotten anywhere near the amount of credit for the amount of games and great experiences and updates and all these different things that we've gotten this year. So I kind of want to go back and look at things, starting back with the surprise that we got in January is the Dev Direct. This really kicked the year off, I think, to a great start. We got to think about where we were at the time, right? We were in 2020. We just left 2022. We just had the Game Awards. They weren't at the Game Awards. They had the whole 12-month lineup at the E3 showcase, right? Then there was no mention of, or we started getting worried about, are these games even going to hit the 12-month window, right? And it's like, this is kind of concerning. We would like to play some damn games at some point, right? And where are they? How come you're not showing anything? How come you're not showing anything at your shows? All these kind of things, right? And they come out in January, beginning of the year, swinging with the Dev Direct. And that automatically right now, right there at that show, that set the momentum for this year in 2023. We had great showcases for different games at that event. Plus, we got a shadow drop of our first-party game from Xbox in 2023, which was a surprise hit, both critically and also sales-wise. I don't think they actually expected it to do as good as it did. Was Hi-Fi Rush, right? And man, I think that set momentum really good. What about you guys?
Yeah, that definitely kicked off the year. I would say going from the lows of 2022 as far as only having one really first party game release, and then, well, not really just one. They had what was it? Grounded did its 1.0 release, and a couple other expansions and things they did that year. But it was at the low of lows, I guess you could say, for that point. But yeah, that showcase was like everything that we've been asking of them as far as how to do a showcase. Don't waste time as far as going into all the details from the devs and things like that. Just show the games, show the devs showing the games, and just keep it nice and concise, and not have it where you have influencers or other personalities talking and taking breaks and whatnot. That Dev Direct was like a perfect culmination of everything that they've learned over the years as far as how to do a showcase. And seeing updates on Forza updates, Redfall, but that's a different story we'll get into. I think it was Age of Empires was also there, and then I think they made mention that Starfield wasn't going to be there; it was going to get its own direct. So you already had the update for that. But yeah, overall, it was like a perfect showing to get everything started, and they've been hitting the ground running ever since. So
yeah, right on, man. I want to get to the super chat real quick. Yeah, baby Farva with the $10 super chat. Appreciate you. It says, Destin knows when we talk about the Xbox tax, we're not talking about some grand conspiracy. He's trolling for the engagement. Shameful, because I'm sure most of his channel subs are Xbox players. That's a good point. I did see a lot of comments that were they didn't really like the video on it. I almost left a comment. Maybe I did. I don't remember. But I was like, these people are kind of letting Destin have it here, thinking he didn't really see the point. They didn't really like his arguments there. I plan on going live and kind of breaking it down and kind of picking it apart a little bit and giving my take on some of the things that he said. But I think even a simple video like that, right? Not to bring up this whole can of worms again, but I did forget the super chat. So, but I think even a video like that can still be seen as a anti-type Xbox thing. You could just simply ignore it, right? But it's for the engagement and all this stuff. He's calling Xbox fans crazy, right? Yeah. So, just think about that.
And he brought up in the video it's like PlayStation lineup is hurting this year. It's like, yeah, we've been talking about that
for a long time. How come IGN isn't talking about it, Destin? That's what we want to know. How come there aren't articles from IGN saying we're concerned about Sony and PlayStation in 2024?
This doesn't drive the engagement they want.
I've seen so many articles from websites like IGN in the past about Xbox,
Mm-hmm. Because that
Where
drives
are
it.
they? Where the fuck are they? Huh?
And again, it's not about excusing. I've seen other people in this community that, are on that side of things. Some people that we personally know and podcasted with say that it's not as bad as that, and they don't believe in that per se, and that it's an excuse or you're whining if you do it. That's not it at all. Because again, you can absolutely 1000% still criticize Xbox. And yes, absolutely. I think we've all said it here multiple times, or time and time again when we had these discussions, that Xbox is the one that has to control their destiny. They are the ones that have to get the mind share back. It is up to them to put out good to great content on a consistent basis. We talked about that for years, especially during 2022. Right? We talked about this, what they were doing to the brand, like how it was going to hurt them. Yes, it's ultimately on them. But again, just because it's on them to make the climb doesn't mean the climb has to be up a freaking 90-degree angle on a mountainside, right? That's not
You have to earn back my respect,
right.
motherfucker.
That's what Destin was kind of saying in his video, was that they got to earn it. I'm like, no. Again, credit should be given when credit is due. That's what we're saying.
Like the one review for what game was it, where they were like, "Oh, Hi-Fi Rush." It was Hi-Fi Rush. It was
correct.
I think it was a PC Gamer. I think, or Metro, one of the horrible websites. Actually said they gave Hi-Fi Rush a lower score.
Yes, because it had
Xbox had no games in 2022.
Right. Stupid.
And that counts against it.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have gotten a 90 or higher. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like those things.
And that's
matter.
the thing. Don't they have a seat at the table for the Game Awards? Don't they have a seat at the table for Metacritic?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that should automatically like disqualify them.
I can imagine what the Metro motherfuckers look like. They're probably those little sleazy like bench sitters that just like sit there and pick their ass all day, and you're like, oh, what kind of stupid shit can we say today? It's gonna get us a lot of clicks and attention.
They have the UK version of Jason Schreier.
Yeah. Good shout.
Do they get any news?
Good shout.
Anyway, all right. So
yeah, we're not gonna go backwards. Let's keep going.
Forward. Sorry. Yeah. Let's go.
We're going backwards to go forward.
We have a whole fucking year to cover here.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. So GoldenEye also dropped, is what it was. We thought that was a lazy, crappy port, and it turned out that was
because Nintendo fucked him.
Yeah, it wasn't Xbox. Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition dropped on January 31st. We played the shit out of this for a while. We did. We really got into it, and it was awesome. Already in January 2023 was a completely different story because we had 2 badass games to play in the first month.
Don't worry, I'm bringing my army over. I'll be there.
Psycho, where are you at?
Yeah.
I got my trade shop up. I'm running carts. Got any army? No.
I need to start building an army. Yeah, it's like an hour into the match, Psycho. You might want to start making some soldiers or something. We're fighting wars, trying to send our shit over to your base to keep you from dying.
So freaking funny. God, we had so many nights of just pure laughter.
Oh my God. It's so good,
good.
Man.
Yeah,
but then the one time when his shenanigans would have actually paid off.
When we forced him not to do it. To build the wonder.
He could have built the wonder and saved all of us because we had this match that was just fucking ridiculous. And
we didn't know it was going to take forever to break through the forest. Remember, we were playing again that one where you got to break through the forest. There's actually a barrier.
There was so many fucking trees on that map. But we talked. It was like, no, we all
no, Psycho, don't do that.
Psycho, don't build
we don't want
wonder.
to be a bitch.
Like,
we're not going to win that way.
Yeah, we want to fucking use all of our armies that we built,
And then the AI wins with a wonder at the end because we couldn't break through fast enough.
When we saw that, we were like, shit,
Shit.
Oh my God.
It was awesome.
So
many good stories out of that. Yeah.
We need to start playing some more.
We do.
Psycho's in the chat. He said that was bullshit. Aren't you supposed to be working, man? Are you supposed to be working, bro?
Black Friday. How do you even have time to get on your phone, bro?
Did you ever get any help today, Psycho? That's what I want to know.
Jesus.
Anyway, It's a fucking awesome game. Anyway, I'm glad lots of people played it too. There's one point where Phil Spencer also had said that more people were playing that.
I think it was at Gamescom, wasn't it?
Than Hi-Fi Rush, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. Interesting. We had Forza Horizon 5 Rally Adventures hit in March, which was the second expansion to Forza Horizon 5. Fun content. I honestly didn't play too much of it.
I didn't either.
There was just a lot of other stuff at the time to play, and I'd already played a shit out of Forza Horizon 5 for a year and a half or so. And then also in April, we had got Ghostwire Tokyo.
Oh yeah.
Came to Xbox. So we're only 4 months in, right? And we had got Age 2, Hi-Fi Rush, a good size expansion for Forza Horizon, and also Ghostwire Tokyo. That's not a bad first 4 months.
No.
On any platform. Then moving on, we had Redfall in May. That was well, actually, sorry, I skipped one. Minecraft Legends in April.
Yeah.
Also. So that's five games already, I think. By
4 in a DLC.
4 in a DLC, right? By April, right? So that was pretty awesome so far. You're talking about Minecraft Legends, which we played a little bit of. We thought it was kind of fun. We didn't get like super sucked into it or anything like that, but it was a pretty good time. I don't know how well the game is doing at all. I haven't been keeping up with it. But if you like strategy games, it's a fun time to check out. I am curious if they've added anything to it or anything like that.
Especially if you're a beginner, right?
Yeah,
especially if you just want to try an RTS type game, a strategy game, it's a good one to start right there.
It's like very RTS like.
Yes, very light.
It kind of
just
seems
a good
like
introduction,
entry point maybe for kids into kind of a strategy game.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, then going into May we had Redfall. Xbox had been building up this momentum, right? And then Redfall was a release that, it had a lot of marketing. It was the first big game to drop in a long time, for Xbox. It had been over a year, right, for a big like AAA type of game to drop. And so we had a lot of expectations and hype for Redfall. Then it dropped. It had dropped in the state that it was in. And that was a smashing of that momentum. I feel like that was the low point for Xbox this year, right? That's when the whole King David Hold the Line came from, and all that stuff, which was awesome. A lot of cool stuff came from that, right? But at that time, it was like, it was time for
that, and you were hearing the CMA news and shit that was like bad.
Yeah, there was a lot of that around that same time. You're right. So around then, it was like, oh, is ABK deal gonna happen or not? Redfall came out again. It's like, oh, they just keep shooting themselves in the foot, when they have the opportunity to really go for it and grab something. But ultimately, it came out. It was like, Phil stood up there and he did an interview like right after that game dropped, right, on Kind of Funny, and that had already been planned. And he stood up there and he took it on the chin, and he was like, yeah, we can't have this, right? Like, I'm not happy right now. I'm not going to be happy Phil. I'm going to here be miserable Phil, because that's the mood I'm in right now. And he kind of laid out like some of the things that could have potentially went wrong. They didn't have their eyes on enough at Arcane. They kind of just left them alone a little bit too much, he said, and kind of had a learning point from there. Now, lots of people loved Redfall when it came out. I really had a horrible time trying to play it close to launch. But one thing that's happened with Redfall since is there's been great updates, and they did get to finally the 60 frames patch. They've added other updates. They've added more enemies and all these other things. And I can honestly say that now, today, it is a fun game, right? Like, me and Pong played quite a bit, like he was talking about earlier in the year. For the people that just want them to move on from games, right? Just, if it's a bad game, just, kill it, move on into something else. I will never understand that. You released a product, right? If it didn't live up to expectations, you should try and support it, and which they do at Xbox, right?
I think it's still up in the air for Redfall though, because they got to do like the contractual like DLC stuff that they promised, and after
Right.
that, I think it's probably going to be like we're just going to keep it running, but like not add stuff to it.
Well, there's quite a bit of content that they have planned for the Hero Pass or whatever that they're doing. So they have those. But when Pete Hines was still with Xbox, what he had said was like, that's a game that's going to live forever in Game Pass, right? So they need it to be good. And that's one thing when Microsoft does acquire these companies. Microsoft and Xbox have a track record, right? You can say it's a bad thing as well because sometimes the games don't come out in the best shape at times, but over time they like evolve and become these monsters, right? I want them to keep trying with Redfall and keep supporting it, and you never know, man. Like it's not. I don't think it's ever going to be like this huge game that everybody's loving and playing or anything like that, but it can turn into something that people go and revisit and have a better.
I kind of treat it as like a Crackdown 3 situation where like they just do enough to like keep it running.
Yeah, Crackdown 3 is one they need to, they need to go back and even do some like. I want them to do a 60 frames update on that one. I don't think they've done that yet on Crackdown. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that would help that game somewhat. Even though I do like Crackdown 3, it's kind of fun. I think it got shit on a little bit too much, for it. It is what it is, it's that kind of game.
It was a better Saints Row than Saints Row.
That's for damn sure. Even though I had fun with Saints Row at launch, but like it just didn't hold my attention. So let's see. We got Age 4 in August. So 2 Age of Empires games on console in the same year. That's pretty damn crazy, right?
Yeah.
And things just keep getting better. The Quake 2 remaster was another shadow drop that they had. Oh, and the Age was a shadow drop on console. They didn't previously announce when that was going to happen.
Yeah, it was at Gamescom.
Right. So they had, at this point, they've had 3 shadow drops with a Quake 2 remaster, Age 4 on console with the Definitive Edition, which I count that as a release because they did a lot to Age. It's a different game on console with the controller support and the way they did things. They made a lot of changes comparatively to the PC version. So they did a lot of work on that. It is the same name, obviously, but it plays differently than it does on PC. They've changed the way mechanics and economic stuff works and all this kind of stuff within that game. Then we had Starfield in September, which was the moment we were all waiting for. Then the media kind of shit on it a little bit, This was the time when I felt like, and I don't know if you guys feel like this, like I thought Xbox really had and I still think, I think Starfield's a win. I do think it's a huge win, right? Yeah. But this was the time I felt like when I saw Starfield and was playing it, I'm like, man, they killed this shit. There's like no way that people are not going to fucking give them their flowers and kudos to this game, right? Like, because it is like epic. It's a fucking Bethesda ass RPG like times 10 that was like better, like really good graphics, especially on PC, but also had pretty good performance with that frame rate. Was really actually smooth, even for the Series X version that was locked at 30, but like just how big it was and everything you could do. But then like it wasn't necessarily even because of scores and stuff. It's just like there was so much talk and negativity about the game that it drowned out the success of it. That's why I was so battling all that negative attention it was getting at launch. Like, why are we talking all this negative shit about this fucking great game all the time? Like, I just didn't understand it. I still don't. But I don't know. I think Starfield was and should be seen as a huge success for them, and I think it will be for the future. What do you guys think?
Oh, definitely. I think a lot of that noise was just because it wasn't on another platform, and that side feels like the game was stolen from them, so they had to make some sort of negative noise about it to kind of counter all the people that were having fun with it, since the only way they could have fun with it was via YouTube. So,
even the negative, like the negative stuff that was coming out, it still became a positive because you had more people from other ecosystems looking at the Xbox ecosystem, even if they were looking at negative stuff. So you had more eyes on Xbox itself. At the end of the day,
it just was smashing records and player count and all this kind of things too. That like that wasn't getting talked about by that same media that was like shitting on it, like about hey, there's actually a lot of people playing it, and a lot of the people that I still talk about like some of this negative stuff, or I hear them on podcasts or something, and they'll be like, yeah, it just didn't really hit it, wasn't a home run, or like this. Then I look at like the time played on my Xbox when I looked today at my time played because I just wanted to see like where I stood up, and I have over 6 days in Starfield, right? Which for me that's a lot, and I played the shit out of it, but I took a break a couple months ago and started playing a lot of these other games once Forza Motorsport came out and stuff. And I see these people, like I'm number 47 on my friends list on playtime. Number 47 on my friends list.
And Kaitlin's number 1.
No, she's number 3. She's number 3. On my friends list, I'm number 47 out of like 200 something, 300 something people. I don't know exactly how many it is, but like with over 6 days played. And I looked and like I saw some names on there, people that are kind of just like, it was a good game. I like it, but it just wasn't that good. Have like 14 days up there, in the top 4 or 5 on that list. You know what I mean? Like
it was all right.
And that game came out in what was said September, so it's only been out 2 months, a little over 2 months, right? And these guys that are still saying it's just kind of mediocre, or whatever, have over 13 days played on it. What is that? In what world does that make sense?
Psycho's in the
is a
green
hell of a
room, by the
drug.
way.
Oh, is he? He's home.
Yeah.
I mean, I've played a lot of mid games for a long time, so.
But you're still, if you're enjoying it, if you're playing it that much, right? It's grabbed you. That's my point, though. It's like if you're playing something that much, like, and you can look at all the flaws, but obviously they did a lot right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it, and I don't understand. That's the Call of Duty thing too. We can get into that later, right? But
I was gonna say you forgot 2 of their bigger games this year, Diablo and Call of Duty.
Which, I was gonna go to that side in a little bit. Welcome to the show, Psycho.
What's up, guys? Wow, what a freaking
You sell lots of video games today,
bro.
What was your
You got
biggest?
any
What
Pokemon
was your
cards?
What was your biggest seller? Are you allowed to say? Was it the Spider-Man 2?
No,
Final Fantasy 16. What was it?
City bought 5 portals.
no.
Hello Kitty.
I mean, it was a mix between it was just like a spread out of PS5 games and things like that. But I sold out of my Series X's and Series S's, and I have quite a bit of my PS5s. But
They had like $60 off of the Spider-Man 2 bundle, right?
yeah, it's 500. So that and the Modern Warfare 3 Slim, because Spider-Man is a Slim and Modern Warfare 2 is Slim, and those are 5. The standard OG PS5 was $450, and all the Xboxes were $50 off. Didn't matter which one you got. So I sold out all my standard Series X's and my Diablo 4 Series X's. And then the Series S was $250 with the 3 months Game Pass.
Did you
Sold
have
out
a lot
those.
of inventory of consoles, or did you just have? Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
good to know. That anyway, just
Yeah.
curious.
sold a lot more Xboxes this Black Friday versus PlayStations. 'Cause a lot of people are not.
They already have a PlayStation.
I hardly.
Probably.
Well, we were giving like 400 if you traded in your old PS5 towards the Slim, they were giving you like $408.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah, it's the same fucking thing.
But that Slim is ugly as shit, and
Yeah, I think it's almost like a step
it doesn't
down.
really have any benefits. So it's like, what's the point? And you know what I mean?
A lot of people were reading up and like they're hearing that it's overheating and stuff, and that they're like,
On the
nah, yeah, because they did take out a lot of the cooling solutions. It's literally it's a copper pipe that comes up with a heat sink that's mounted to this metal shroud that goes over the entire motherboard on both sides. As before, if you noticed that there was like this huge heat sink.
Yeah, that was in the original one. They've even modified it since then on the other 2 revisions. But yeah,
it's like drastically smaller. So I'm like, okay. I mean, they did like try to redesign the fan, the airflow, with the console, but yeah, a lot of people weren't interested in getting the and with the getting the Slim, and then they had, they're like, oh, does it have a vertical stand? No, that's extra. That's $30. And it was just funny.
Well, I hope you had a good day today, man. I know you've been like working your
I
ass
did.
off. So
dude, it sucked because truthfully, I had help for a little bit, but I freaking they I won't say what they did, but yeah, the online orders, holy shit, dude, they were popping off all freaking day long. And the guy that was helping, he's new, and he was like molasses. And I'm like, bro, you're like 20 something years old. Let's pep it up there, buddy. Like, grab the games, put them off to the side, and just,
hold on, I gotta film a TikTok real quick.
And just get a stack going.
What it's like to work at GameStop on Black Friday. Here we go. Thanks everybody tuning in.
No, dude. No, I don't recommend it to anybody, but
yeah,
fuck, dude. Yeah, it's been crazy and very interesting. I'm like, my whole Xbox section is like almost empty, except for the older games and stuff like that. But Xbox One is still, it got some pickings, but mostly it was like Switch and Xbox this Black Friday.
I guess all the work you've been doing with your community there at GameStop's been paying off there, Psycho.
Yes, it has.
It's been everybody's ear. Anyway, so we got a couple super chats to get to here. Jax82 with the $5 super chat says, Phil put in the work this year, bringing games to Game Pass, partnerships with studios like Sega and Capcom. Now Square Enix supporting his studios. Yeah, for sure. And that's stuff we're not even really going through. We're just talking about first party. But if you add all the other stuff, like, it's absolutely insane, right? How many things came to Xbox this year. Like, you could look at the Monster Hunter thing that was earlier in the year. Then you had Exoprimal hit Game Pass. You had Wo Long hit Game Pass. There's even more recent ones. Persona 5 Tactica just hit.
City Skylines 2.
City Skylines 2. I mean,
Liza P.
Liza P was a big one. That's nominated for awards at the Game Awards as well. There's just so many things that hit Game Pass day one this year.
Atomic Heart, which everybody forgot.
Atomic Heart. Yeah, I forgot about that one too, man.
You see the new like DLC trailer for that? It's like a Candyland looking.
Yes, it looks cool as shit.
Yeah, I mean, it would be hard pressed to actually remember all these bigger type games that hit Game Pass day one, but there was a substantial amount of games either recently released or like less than a year old or so, or brand new day one games hit Game Pass this year.
Mav, side note, you did see that Dune Spice Wars is coming to console next week on Game Pass.
I saw that, yeah.
Bro.
And I have
Another.
some questions for you
Are
about,
you serious?
about that one. Yeah,
Yes.
dude.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I don't have time for all these
Us-
goddamn games.
There's never been a year better for Xbox or Game
Yeah.
Pass than for
Right.
us on this panel.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
Dude.
and we love these fucking strategy RTSs and all these
Love
kind
it.
of things, man. It's
Yeah.
like insane. Bold Alpha Wolf Pack with a $20 super chat. Super appreciate you, Bold. Saying, I'm always hearing Xbox will get to a point they aren't deniable. If Starfield didn't do it for the media, I don't know what will. 2023 was that year for me, man. Yeah, that's what I was kind of saying. Like, before Starfield, I didn't understand it, like how much negativity at that time was coming out about that game. I was like, why are we doing this? Why is this happening? And it's like, what is it gonna take? You know, like that game was fucking great. You know, and maybe not everybody super loves it, but it didn't get the appreciation enough for what it was, right? And that's what confused the hell out of me. So I don't know what it's gonna take. You know,
I think it's going to be a culmination of about you know what a goddamn what I meant, goddamn it, all right?
a culmination, yeah.
Culmination.
There you go.
God damn
That's
it.
it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a culmination of having Avowed hitting, being really no bugs and really done and polished well, with Hellblade 2, and then followed into Fable. And I think if those 3 games are done well, I'm not saying Fable's next year, but whenever they decide to drop it, either in the first half or second half of 2025, at least those 2 games in 2024, among all the other stuff that's coming out, is going to be a force that they cannot just sit by and do what the media's been doing.
It's not going to
Xbox
be like a
delivery.
singular game that does it. It's going to take a generation. At the end of the generation or next generation,
Well,
that's when you start
I
seeing that
think-
mind share switch.
That
I
was
think
over
by
time.
Fable, I think
Yeah.
by Fable they see how gorgeous it is and how well the story is and how well the gameplay and everything is, and there what can they diss about it? It's a Game Pass that that right there is
Even
2
if it's a
points
10 out
off.
of 10 game, it won't matter. You have to have like repetition with that, where
That's what I'm
like
saying.
over the
Those
years, like it's
3
not going to
big
just be a one-time
games
thing where it's
are
like
going
it's going
to
to switch everyone.
could shift, and if an Xbox continues to hit on the mark, then we will see, we'll definitely see a lot of people shifting, unless it's Dan Stapleton and he's going to stand his ground, because he doesn't like the fact that Xbox got Bethesda and ABK now.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, I'm just gonna be straight with you on what I think it'll take for Xbox to start getting that respect from the media. It's for PlayStation to start fucking up so bad and keep this path that they're currently on, potentially with 2024, that they start looking elsewhere and acknowledging other stuff, right?
Well, really, what first party does Sony have? What first party does Sony have? Because it's Helldivers is
2024,
third party.
like
Helldivers is first party.
It's
They bought the
first-
fucking studio. If Call of Duty's first party now, Helldivers is first party.
it's
How did we mean they bought the studio?
they I don't think they bought the studio, but they published
No.
the
Well,
game.
They
It's the
published
same
it.
shit.
So, but with
No,
them being
it's-
with them publishing the game, that's first party to me. Like you could look at Flight Simulator. It's fucking Flight Simulator, not a first party game. That's made by Asobo. Like Microsoft Flight, it's Microsoft's in the fucking name. Like that's a first party game to me, right? Like the fact when they hire a developer to make a game or contract to them, it doesn't matter to me. It matters who publishes it. Like is Perfect Dark not first party because Crystal Dynamics is doing the bulk of the actually hard development work on it? You know, like it's first party. You know what I mean? So like Helldivers is first party. Stellar Blade is first party. Rise of the Ronin, made by Team Ninja, still first party. The second party term is used by like gamers a lot and stuff, but that's not really like an industry used thing. It's like if they make the game, they're funding the game, they're publishing the game, they're overseeing the development of the game.
Yeah.
They own the IP to the game, they own the rights to the sequels of the game, all that kind of stuff. That's a first party game, right?
Contraband
I
is
just-
the first party.
I consider that just console exclusive
Right. Well, so what is contraband? Is it first party?
for Xbox.
Yeah.
It's a console exclusive
Mhm.
Who's
because
publishing?
it's not third party. Well, Xbox is publishing. I know.
We're
I get
arguing
it.
over semantics. It doesn't
But-
matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It's just
the average consumer
the
doesn't
devs, it's
care.
not a first.
I
party
know why
dev.
you want it to be that way because you want to use it, but it doesn't. It's a straight up exclusive. So again, it's not going anywhere else other than PC. And we don't even know if Stellar Blade's going PC, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
Death Stranding 2 could come out next year. They own the IP
Yep.
to that as well.
Yep.
Right.
mhm.
So they have games, right?
Last of Us remastered.
But yes. But I'm gonna be honest with, except for Rise of the Ronin potentially, like there's even all these games I just mentioned, right? There's not a lot of excitement from their fan base over any of these things, right? You can count Helldivers 2 into that. You can count Stellar Blade into that. You
I'm
can
surprised more of them aren't talking Rise of Ronin. That looks.
Count,
fucking
I know.
amazing.
I'm
Yeah.
excited for Rise.
That
That's
fucker.
Rise of
Yeah.
Ronin.
Come
I'm
out.
super looking forward to.
Just
Yeah.
24, or do they have a
Yeah.
date?
It says
2024.
2024, but we'll see. We've
okay.
only
Yeah, we'll
seen
see.
the one trailer, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
But they were good
Yeah.
with Wolong. Wolong they gave it a year or two and it came out.
Yeah.
So they've been pretty good with that stuff.
and see
So-
the difference between Wolong and
Yeah.
Rise of the Ronin is
Correct.
Wolong was not published by Microsoft.
No, it was
right?
multiplayer.
It was just a Game
Day
Pass
one back
deal.
Game
Game
Pass.
Pass
Yeah.
exclusive.
right. Um,
Subscription exclusive.
Right.
Let's go that route.
but like, so they have games because that's what PlayStation is doing. They're using third party to fill their lineup because they don't have the like development power right now to be able to get games frequent enough out. But like, if you look at their lineup next year, like they don't have, unless maybe Death Stranding 2 actually comes out or they have another surprise for next year, they don't have that big game, right now.
What do you mean? Wolverine's coming, Math.
and so, and you have like Fair Games isn't next year. It's Concord,
That's-
right?
Yeah, Concord's next
Yeah,
year.
Concord. Nobody even is talking about that or knows what it is. You know, Marathon.
I think
just
we've
got
seen more
delayed.
fair games than Concord. So
The only reason that like I keep pushing the Concord thing is because it has a bunch of former Bungie people behind it, and a lot of people don't know that. So like if it's the multiplayer side of that, they may know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that doesn't mean shit to me. They got to make something that proves it to me before I'll get excited about it. Like, I've seen so many studios like, oh, it's made by the X, this does, and then it comes out as a complete hunk of trash with no budget, or it looks like this is their first thing that any of them ever tried to make, and it's like, okay, yeah, great job, guys. Next time maybe you'll make a good game, you know. But sometimes they do great. You know, I would look at Embark as an example of former DICE developers that are making some good quality stuff right now, right? The Finals, which we had a demo recently, was pretty damn good. But yeah, I do think that, you know, you compare the lineups, what we know about right now, like I think there's concern because for PlayStation, they don't have any of those kind of games that their fan base really gets excited about, right? And that's a problem for them. Now they could come out next year and announce some stuff, but right now there's a big question mark. And you know, Xbox had smaller games and AA stuff and all these kind of things released before, and they got killed for it because it wasn't big enough or good enough. You know, it's not the games are gonna sell or move consoles and all that kind of stuff, right? None of that talk about PlayStation this year. But that's the reality of where it's at. Anyway, Decado hit us with 5 memberships, guys. Thanks, Decado. Appreciate you
Nice.
so much, dude. Bunty hit us with a $2 super chat. Said, "Tell me this is not true. PS Portal is counting PS cells."
So that's the word on the street. Matt Piscatella tweeted it and then deleted it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Look, what are you doing? You can't tell people that. It's
Well, I
a
think
little
it's-
secret.
yeah,
He got
because I think it's
banned.
because he put in there that's upon per Sony's request. I think that's what probably got it nixed.
Yeah.
Is because he disclosed that it was a Sony request to do so.
Well, they got those numbers that they have to meet for the end of the year or the end of the
Yeah.
quarter. They had to
Gotta
sell
help
a
the
certain
stock.
amount of consoles.
Gotta help the stock too. Gotta.
Yeah.
Now they'll probably be over. We'll see.
3-bit member for 29 months, part of our amazing fam here. Miss you, 3-bit. Hope you're doing well, bro. Says sorry couldn't make it. Love y'all. I be traveling. No worries, dude. I know you had to go out of state for Thanksgiving, or at least I think that's where you were doing. But anyway.
Yeah, it's his old ladies out there.
Okay.
His old lady.
His old lady.
God, Jesus.
Old lady.
They're in their 20s.
My
No,
God.
Not old lady.
I know.
Old
I know,
lady.
Uh,
old.
Okay, I got two questions for you, real quick, Psycho, before we move on, because I want to kill this first party, second party thing.
Yeah.
What was Crackdown 3 a first party game?
It was console exclusive.
He's not. If you would have asked him yesterday, he would have been.
Okay. What about Forza Horizon and Forza Horizon 2 and maybe 3? I don't remember.
Yeah, those were
Yeah,
those
1
were
through
all
3.
yeah, those were all console exclusive until Microsoft bought them.
It's literally called Forza. Okay. All right. I see what you're doing here. All right.
No, I mean it is what it is.
Ask him next week when he
It
forgets
is what
about
it
this.
It is what it is.
Of course, they're first party. What are you asking me this for?
It's funny. Anyway.
Not them.
All right. So I'll move on to the list. After Starfield, we had Forza Motorsport.
That's first party.
Yes, it is, Psycho. Good job. You're finally learning.
Yay!
Yeah, it is first party. Starfield came out, then Forza like just a month later. And this was like, you know, they're in their stride. Now again, there's a lot of negativity on Forza when it launched. But overall, I think it's absolutely fucking amazing. And I can't wait to see what they do with the future for that
Dude,
game.
some of these videos that people are racing without HUDs, I at first I'm like, I thought they were real racing clips. I'm like, oh, this is fucking I'm like, Jesus, gorgeous.
Nintendo the Otaku has a great one for you, Psycho. Was Halo Wars 1 and 2 first
Well,
party?
Halo Wars 1.
Or definitely console exclusive.
It's literally Halo. Yeah. Well, no, both of them because they're Creative Assembly and Relic. I think.
Yeah.
Alternate. Like one made one made
Because
the other.
Ensemble was the first
They're
one. I think.
Ensemble. Yeah.
Yeah. Because then they went under.
Right. So the Ensemble and then was it Relic or Creative Assembly? Creative Assembly, I think.
Creative Assembly.
Creative Assembly.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Right on. Anyway, so ultimately, guys, what would you say? How did Xbox do in 2023?
They knocked it out of the park. I mean, they had a good cadence of content releases, not even mentioning the most recent acquisition where one game just came out and the other one came out in the middle of the whole deal.
Dude, like you're talking about. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you, but yeah, in the midst of all this, now owned by Xbox is Diablo 4, right? Which came out and has been a smash hit this year, as well as Call of Duty just came out, which has led to more Xbox tax conversation. But anyway, yeah, keep going, Fuzzy. Sorry.
Yeah, it basically what we've been, hoping that they would achieve as far as like a game a quarter, even though it may not have been exactly on the quarter, but they've had like either a smaller game or a re-release or DLC pretty much every month. It seems like they've had something every 3 or 4 weeks, coming into Game Pass that was their own out of their own studios or ones that they, had a publishing deal with. And then as far as the day one stuff for Game Pass, this was a phenomenal year. Like you go from 2022 where you had like 3 main first party, new releases and then some DLC to, was it like 5 main releases and 2 or 3 things of DLC and expansions. And it's like, yeah, it was like a night and day comparison between 22 and 23 for them.
Yeah. I agree.
I mean, they spent $70 billion this year, so it's a pretty good year
Yeah.
for them.
Well, like that's, I want to kind of get into that too. Like this year was also the culmination of what started last January, with the ABK deal finally going through, right? And with all these games coming out, throughout this year, that's still the conversation that was probably the most talked about this year, besides maybe Starfield, was Activision Blizzard, right? And it finally happened, right? Was it like September, right around when Starfield came out? I think. That ended up happening, and we finally had that added to the Xbox portfolio, and I actually talked about it more than even I thought they would right after, like with some of like BlizzCon happened, and the Phil Spencer showed up on stage there, and there was a lot of conversation about Call of Duty because of the Call of Duty release this year and how it kind of got maybe a little overly criticized, even though it's like maybe even an average Call of Duty, or you could even say below average Call of Duty for some. Multiplayer is for some one of the best multiplayers ever, but yet it's getting like 4s and 5s and stuff like that, which is just absolutely crazy to me. But it is what it is, right? Like that's kind of I don't even think that's the Xbox thing.
It's just a Call of Duty thing.
I think it's a games media like hive mind thing where it's like just the thing to be negative about right now kind of deal, right?
The main tax thing I would say is the move on from Call of Duty, calling out stuff like it just seems like of all the years to say now is the time to move on, as opposed to during Vanguard, that wasn't the time to move on. No, now is the time. Now it's part of Microsoft. It just feels convenient.
Yeah, and next year's Call of Duty has the longest development cycle of any Call of Duty made, right? It had so people are saying like, hey, don't release next year, give them more time, but like, do they need more time? Because they've had 4 years. They're like, I think that game's probably going to be ready. And if it's ready, just release it.
The only concerning thing with that is this is Treyarch's first year switching over to Infinity Ward's engine, so they're not using their own thing anymore because Activision wanted them to make it all one ecosystem. So this is Treyarch's first time with this engine, so it may be a little different for their main game, but
could be why they're taking longer too.
Yeah.
So
we'll see how it pans out. This will be their second game on this current generation from Treyarch, right? So but you're talking about them using different stuff, so we'll see how that pans out. The last Cold War campaign was broken for me, so
the only thing I'll point out here about the Modern Warfare 3 and the Call of Duty stuff is exactly what I posted in our DMs and what other people brought up on X was Battlefield 2042. If you go look at the reviews from the same sites on 2042 versus Modern Warfare 3, it's a joke.
Yeah.
Again, everybody needs to be more conscious of language that is used. And if you go read the reviews, the type of language used between those two, and everybody knows, again, I was there day one. I bought the ultimate Battlefield 2042, right? Me, Mav, Steele, Jasper, I think you were there day one as well. We all hopped in the Battlefield day one. We liked the game. Did it have major issues? Yes. Again, that was something. Again, when you go look at the reviews for Battlefield 2042, no campaign at all. That didn't hurt the reviews. People mentioned it like, oh, I wish I would have had a campaign, or I used to like Battlefield campaigns. But as far as the multiplayer reviews go, again, 6s were a lot less than what Modern Warfare 3 was. And there was 7s and 8s in there on Battlefield 2042. That was not that at launch. So how? Why? If you're going to compare apples to apples, first person shooter, big IP versus big IP, although Battlefield obviously hasn't been its best, The fact is, Battlefield hasn't been at its best, and they still gave it higher scores than Modern Warfare 3. Again, the reasons behind it, you'll never know the true hearts of men, but it's just a little odd that, like Fuzzy said, this is the year that we decide to start giving Call of Duty the Madden treatment. Yeah. Right, because Madden's finally been getting slammed year
it's
after
also
year.
Weird because like if Call of Duty was reviewed as a whole package, it would be higher.
Yes,
but
yes,
they reviewed it each fucking
separately,
mode, so it's like
separately, correct. But even if you go read those reviews, Jasper, on the multiplayer side, they got people who don't even play.
Yeah, they missed the whole fucking mark. Like
right, everything. Like they don't know what they're talking about half the time when they're talking about this, and they certainly don't understand what the community's been looking for. The way that they write about some of this stuff, it's crazy. Again, it's just that it's slight. But when you read things and you look at the language that's used, you get a tone. And again, that's what we were talking about before with Starfield. Oh, I wish all this was in there versus focusing on what they really liked. It was all about, oh, I wish it was this, this, and this versus other games. Oh, I really liked all this stuff. Yeah, I kind of wish they had this. This was kind of bad. But no, but listen, all this stuff was great. That's the difference in language that you could see when people want to twist it a little bit.
That was something I heard on Destin's video that kind of bothered me too, is because he was claiming that some of the people that said that they loved the multiplayer in Call of Duty had their own interest in mind for saying that because their content was and their community was mostly based around Call of Duty. So they had a self-interest there to say it's good for the sake of their own content, right? And
I'm pretty sure that Modern Warzone dude also shit on the campaign when it came out. So
right, exactly. And when you're talking about that, like, don't you think that the people that are most in touch with it probably are the ones that understand it the most? You know what I mean? Like maybe they should kind of get the beat from the actual community that plays a fucking game and see what they think about the multiplayer and understand that they're insanely off the mark with the multiplayer side, right? And I'll even go as far as the campaign side. Like a lot of people don't like the campaign. They say it's one of the worst Call of Duty campaigns ever, all that kind of stuff, whatever. Even the worst Call of Duty campaigns ever have not gotten 4s, right? That is a like punishment of a brand because you have decided upon yourself that it's no longer acceptable to exist in the format that it does, right? And you can do whatever you want because it's their own website, it's their own opinions. But at the end of the day, it makes you look like an ass when you absolutely see something that, regardless of the structure of it or whatever, has the level of quality and like AAA type budget put behind it, that has the feel of the guns, the way the cinematics are, all these different elements is on another level to other kinds of games that you would give a 4. There's no like apples to apples there. It's judging it within its own like bubble in a way. It's like we're gonna judge this against itself, right? But how is that work for every kind of game that exists? You can't do that. You have to have one kind of idea of metrics in your mind when you look at this stuff. And if a game falls outside of that, you need to make that absolutely clear to the readers and people that this is judged on a different scale, right? This is not judged on the same scale that we judged Gollum on, right? Because it got the same fucking score, right? Gollum is a piece of shit that doesn't deserve to exist. That's just like a waste of everybody's time. And Call of Duty has a lot of fucking content in it that a lot of people are having fun with, and has a lot of high quality aspects to it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, or any realm where Gollum can be in the same world as far as quality as Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
The Portal scored an 8 to the Steam Deck 6. So in their world, it's Bizarro World.
Right. Imagine being an uninformed consumer and you're like, I'm going to decide what game to get my kid, for Christmas or whatever. He really said he wanted Call of Duty. Oh, I look at it. Oh, it got a 4? Oh, he's not going to like that. Yeah, well, maybe he would.
Wait, is that how that works? Because I always just said, "Hey, Dad, I want this game," and then he
no.
Bought it.
Well, I get a lot of people that come in and I've been selling the shit out of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, regardless of what the score is. People just want to play Call of Duty. They do not care.
Yeah.
what
Call of Duty is the one
IGN
franchise
Yeah.
that can
It's like
not be
in its
affected
own
at all.
mode, pretty
Correct.
much, right? Like,
yeah,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
they don't even listen to the
Just like Madden.
IGNs. Yeah, exactly. They just buy them. I mean, I sold F10.
nice. LeBurn 98 with the 5 Canadian, appreciate you, says, do you think Kojima's Xbox exclusive will be hit hard by the Xbox tax, or will the Kojima tax credit cancel it out? That's Kojima tax credit.
It depends
That's a
what
tough
it
one.
is.
They
It's gonna
see
be
him
crazy.
as a
Yeah.
betrayer. You remember seeing when that deal was announced and people were like,
Yeah.
"Oh fuck Kojima, he'll never play one of his games again," and all this kind of stuff. Like, it's absolutely crazy, man. I don't know. It's a good question.
It will be interesting. We will have a lot of different examples of interesting situations coming down the line here to see where this and when they decide to apply it. So it is good. Kojima will be one, but he's trying something supposedly brand new, way outside the normal realm. So it'll give him a reason if they dock it, like,
Right.
oh, Kojima tried, but just this one didn't hit, right? This one just didn't work. The cloud wasn't the greatest, it just didn't work. They could certainly go
But
that
PS
route with
Portal
it.
is an 8.
Yes, but the
If that works.
No, I think there'll be direct comparisons between Death Stranding 2
yes.
and I think it's supposed to be Overdose, or
Yes.
maybe that's the
Yeah.
code name of
Supposedly,
the game.
that's a
But,
rumor. Yep.
but depending on which the journalists like more will
Mhm.
determine which one gets the better score, because they're definitely going to be a head-to-head. And even if they like Overdose, they're going to find a way to say, well, because of the cloud, it
Yeah.
wasn't
Because
as
I don't
fluid
understand
or
the fucking story,
snappy.
because you never can. This game's fucking shit.
Right.
So it's going to get docked being associated with the Xbox platform, any way you look at it. And if I'll be amazed if they say, skip Death Stranding 2, go play Overdose, but you won't find the big outlets saying that. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking
we'll
about
see.
returning to my mail delivery simulator instead of playing Overdose this year. That's going to be the headline.
It'd be interesting if like Xbox gets a tax refund this 1 year and gets like a 10 on a bad game. We're just making.
No, they'll purposely do that so people go play it and they'll be like, "Oh, this was
Yeah.
crap. I'm never buying an Xbox game again."
Yeah.
Starfield's still beating Death Stranding by 1 point on Metacritic.
Yeah. It's
There's that.
interesting.
The
Ghost of
PC
Tsushima
version
had the
got like
same
3 or
score,
4
but it
points
got
higher than the
nominated
Xbox
in
version.
2020.
Oh man. Lots of anyways, it was a great year for Xbox, and I 2024 is going to be potentially even better. I mean, there's a lot of things we don't know about, and which is cool.
The big thing, Mav, is the ABK's behind them now.
Right.
The ABK, they still got the FTC stuff, but that
After
shit don't even
ABK
freaking
closed,
matter.
they came out swinging with the marketing.
That's what
bro.
I'm saying. That's why 2024 I expect even to
Yeah.
be bigger and better for Xbox, because we talked about this after ABK happened. My feeling is that, and a lot of our feelings were that they were holding back. They had to, again, lawyers being lawyers, legal system being legal system. But once they got the deal through, that was $70 billion spent by Microsoft.
Yeah.
There's no more, well, we're going to take steps like, or we're going to get, no. It's full go ahead. And again, the internal emails that were leaked where they have big goals for Game Pass to reach certain subscriber levels and that kind of stuff. That's all real. And that's business that they have to reach that. So there is no more holding back. We've heard the marketing funding is way up. Their budget is way up across the board within Xbox. Now that this deal is through, I expect next year to be even bigger and better. This year, they took certain steps and they had the year that we thought they could have. Obviously, would have liked Redfall to also hit. It didn't. But overall, you got to say a fantastic year. But more importantly, their communication picked up, man. The stuff that we had talked about, the marketing coming in, and redoing kind of how they looked at things and how were they going to get, the spotlight on all these games that they have. They laid that groundwork this year in 2023, which means in 2024, they've got everything that they need. The directs did exactly what we thought they needed, and I think next year we're going to see more. And now they've got BlizzCon. Now they've got all these, they've got QuakeCon. They've got all these other places that they can use too. Next year is going to be a gigantic year for Xbox, and I think they kick it off right away. I think the Game Awards, they are going to be there. They're going to show stuff, but then I think January or February, I think we get another direct right out the gate for Hellblade 2. And
Start
really
setting that
off.
pipeline up.
Towerborn,
Right then,
Hellblade 2. I think we get some kind of direct.
Do we get a release date for one of these 2024 games at the Game Awards potentially?
Yeah, I think we do. No,
I think we get a direct date.
Get a direct date. Maybe a direct date. I think they use the Game Awards to tease some things this year. I know there's been a lot of speculation out there, Gears and that kind of stuff. I think that's all possible.
The only thing would be if it's January. If it's something in January, maybe, but
like Towerborn, I could see Towerborn showing up and getting, but I really think they want to have a direct for that. That's why I see an early January direct, somewhere in January, a direct with Towerborn, and then a release date probably in February, or maybe a shadow drop like Hi-Fi Rush. Who knows? Yeah. Towerborn's not a giant game. It's going to be a really cool game. I'm excited for it, but it's not a giant game, which they could do that for to start off next year. Be kind of sweet.
It could be a surprise smash hit though, too. Like,
could be.
Know,
it absolutely could
games,
be.
Like, I know the people that have played it in the background said, "Wow, it's like way bigger and better kind of game than they were expecting." So
correct.
So the next part I want to do on this show was I kind of wanted to talk about next year, and the reason I wanted to talk a little bit about it now is because this is fun speculation, and I think at the Game Awards we might get some answers. So it's if we're going to talk about it, we better talk about it now and not after the Game Awards, right? Because at the end of the day, when the Game Awards happens, I kind of feel like we're going to be talking a lot about what was shown there and all those kind of things, and that'll probably last a couple of weeks, right? So right now I want to look ahead, and I want to kind of go around and get one thing you're hopeful for from Xbox in 2024. Now, this could be like a decision. It could be like a game. It could be like a
GTA 6 exclusive.
It could be anything, right? Like within the Xbox ecosystem, what is one thing you're like really hopeful happens next year? We'll start with you because you missed the first part, Psycho. Right on. Okay, you're there. All right, I thought you were gone. All right, there we go.
No. What I'm hopeful for?
Yeah, for 2024. Like if you could pick one thing that you think really needs to happen or you really want to happen with Xbox next year.
Really, God, there's a couple things. It's like continuing this marketing trend that they've been on. Keep it going. I want to see Hellblade be the best that it can be. And because that game has been in development for quite some time, because wasn't kind of like we thought it was going to come out in like 2022 ish, or we thought, before the delays of
there were some people saying it could be late this year.
Delayed train. Okay. Really, I mean, just keep the marketing going. Keep this market share mindset with just everyone right now. Xbox is being talked about. Xbox is in people's heads. They see Game Pass. It's starting to hit their stride. Because I would like to see them, continue that to really bring home more subscribers to the ecosystem, and then to really show that if they see that, hey, it's paying off, then we'll see these bigger games that Xbox is doing continue and stay in Game Pass, and Game Pass stays and continues to grow and really be this giant monster of a thing that people cannot deny anymore, and people can't just overlook and be like, oh, it's just a thing, because
you want it
in
to
all
be
reality,
respected because you love it, right?
Well, in all reality,
Yeah.
Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo are going to go digital. And how do you want to consume that product? Do you want to consume it on a service that you pay monthly and consume everything that they put in? Or do you want to pay $70 for a game that you don't have anymore in your hands? And
Right.
possibly, again, if it's a games over service and it doesn't do well, guess what? They close the freaking the lobbies down. That $70 game that you just bought is dead. You can't trade it in.
Which did happen already on a PlayStation exclusive this generation.
Correct. So now it's like, what are you going to do with that game? What are you going to do? You can't do nothing. And people are going to sooner than later realize that it's not what we want. You know, if you want physical media, pre-order your games wherever. It doesn't have to be GameStop. It could be at Best Buy, Walmart, wherever. But if they
Why
do
they
that,
like their single player experiences.
and just pre-order. So if you want physical media, let it, that's how you keep it. If you don't do nothing about it, but cry about it on Twitter, well, you ain't doing nothing but hurting, the chances of digital media going to be a thing of the future. But with Xbox, it's in Game Pass. If I want to buy it physically, I still can, or I can just consume it through a sub price of and a monthly fee. And I just hope that I think we'll see. I just hope games will be good. I just like to see Hellblade just stand out.
Yeah, right on, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know you mean, man.
Oh, okay, man.
Right on, bro.
Oh, bro.
What about you, Jasper? Like, what is a hope you have?
It can't be Star Trek game.
Oh, I wasn't going to say that, but maybe kind of. The first one I was going to say was I hope that Age of Mythology comes out next year. Just sticking on the age train for tonight. Hope that comes out next year, and then I hope that they show off ZeniMax Online game. So whatever that is, Project Kestrel.
I think that's gonna happen, bro. I think we're gonna see that game next year. I don't know when it's gonna come out, right? But
yeah, I don't know when it's. I just want to see what the fuck it is,
Yeah.
or at least have a title for it.
Do you think that's kind of game, whatever it is probably gonna surprise people? Like with how big and ambitious it is. Like
I mean, if it's an MMO, like it will be like the first like kind of like modern big MMO out there that we've had in a while.
Yeah, at least from Xbox, right? Or even just period.
Yeah.
So like,
I mean, the last one was like fucking ES. Well, I guess Amazon had that one. I forgot what it's called, but
I mean, it's gonna be like a ZeniMax Online game,
yeah.
So it's gonna be that style, like whatever it is. And I'm real curious too, bro. Like, because they've learned a lot too. So like going into their second big game is kind of exciting to think about what you could do.
I mean, it could, like, people were thinking it's Star Wars. Like, I don't know if it's that or not, but like that's why I want to know: is it Star Wars or is it their own? Is it a Starfield MMO? Like, what are they doing with it, like,
bro? I will die if it's Star Wars: The Old Republic 2.
I think that's a BioWare thing. I don't know if they'll
Knights of the Old Republic. That was
no, not KOTOR. Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMO.
Oh, okay. I didn't play it, so that.
Oh, I played the shit out of it. I loved it, but they didn't really.
They still update it. It's just it's like fucking 15 years old now. So
it's the issue is that they kind of went with how WoW, where you pay for extra fucking box. What is it? Your inventory. You got to pay for that. You got to pay for that unless you buy the subscription service, and it's just like,
yeah,
like they didn't do enough DLC for me to be like, yeah, I'll pay into it. I think they did 2, maybe 3 DLC, but the 2.
No, they got. I think they got like a major one, like pretty much every year.
Not the first one was a major one, and then the other 2 weren't as huge.
They just
content wise.
I'm not sure. I know they do a yearly like type expansion thing, but like I'm not sure how big they are or whatever. I never really got too much into ESO for some reason. I would like to.
Yes. What are you talking about? ESO?
What the
Oh,
fuck
I
you
thought you were talking
talking
about ESO. You talking about the Star Wars game?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, I know nothing about that. So, my
It's
bad.
like KOTOR, but a huge MMO
right.
version.
Okay. Right on. So we got Jasper wants Space Geeky MMO from ZeniMax Online. Psycho wants, I don't know what the hell he wants.
Hellblade 2 to be
to be great.
phenomenal.
What about you, Fuzz? 2024.
I want to hear something about Project Shaolin. I want to hear about the
Which one
Wu-Tang
was
game.
that? Oh, is that
The Wu-Tang game?
Nice.
The RPG or something like that.
Right.
I want to know how far along that is. Just curious. I know we have like a lot of other games that we already know that are kind of in the works, like with Hellblade 2 and Towerborn and stuff like that. But that's one that kind of flew under the radar, and just want to get an update on it. So I would hope either at the Game Awards or maybe in Direct, or just an update from maybe the developer or something like that. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, right on, man. You a Wu-Tang fan?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't listened to any other stuff in a while, but yeah,
Right.
I their first two albums, I pretty much burned those discs until the point of where they were like almost purple from playing them so much. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's a game that like we all forget about that exists, like being made right now.
DB.
That hasn't been officially announced yet either, I don't think, right? So
No.
maybe we'll get that announcement.
Yeah, that would be like one of those stealth drop candidates.
Right.
If it's a Wu-Tang game, I want to be a old dirty bastard.
All right, Pong Soul. 2024, what's your hope?
2024. First thing, back on the acquisition train. They need to complete some of the smaller acquisitions for sure that we've talked about for a long time. They need to secure some of these studios that are out there that are working a lot with Xbox right now. They can't have a situation. Again, they've got a lot of studios and they've got a lot of talent, but you don't want some of these support studios and some of these studios that you have great relationships with falling into the wrong hands. So I think they need to wrap some of those up next year. Again, this shouldn't be a problem for regulatory problem. Again, these are smaller studios. I'm not talking about announcing Sega next year, although if they want to go ahead, announce Sega next year, I'll be happy. But I think they need to get back on board with that and make those moves to secure their position. And then, StarCraft, obviously I'd love to see StarCraft announced next year. Again, people don't, if you're not an RTS fan, or you never paid attention, or you're just not old enough to remember StarCraft, it's not even about the West per se, although it was big in the West. It's about the East, and StarCraft being announced, especially for Korea and places like that, would be absolutely mind-boggling huge. And I think it would be a great power move out the gate to bring back an IP like that from Blizzard. Just announce it, just tease it, just say, hey, we're going to start rebuilding our team, and we're going to get back and we're going to make StarCraft. So I think that's another big one. And then, specific games wise next year, I'd like to be surprised. I really want them to come out and tell me that Clockwork Revolution is ready next year from In Exile. I think that would be a fantastic holiday game to end the year on, especially if we get Hellblade 2, if we get Avowed next year. I think ending it with Clockwork Revolution from In Exile would be massive, along with a couple other things in there, obviously. But I just think I'm just so excited for that game. And Exile is such a hell of a studio that's never gotten this type of budget, never made a game like this. And anytime you put time travel into something and it actually has consequences, I'm going to want to play that game. So let's go. I want to be surprised next year by that one.
Yeah, right on, man. Love it, Pong. We got a couple of super chats to get to, then I'll get into my picks. I also realized I don't think I said the 2023 thing. I think we got
2023 thing.
Yeah, the thankful for 2023 thing. I think we got so caught up in the Xbox tax conversation, I never even did my part on that, and we can get Psychos too after. But real quick,
Did you get Decato's memberships earlier?
yes, I
saw you.
did.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We do have a $10 super chat from Bold Alpha Wolfpack. Says, if Xbox announces a true crime or a prototype soft reboot, maybe bring in Crystal Dynamics or Bandai Namco and acquire them too. It'll be an awesome 24. Yeah, I think so as well, man. Like, it'll be either of those would be big announcements. Like
We're just moving to Korea. Please just get some Korea talent. Buy a smaller studio in Korea. At least show that you're there.
Yes.
Because now Sony they officially today, the devs behind Stellar Blade made their announcement officially that they are partners with Sony.
Yeah.
Got to make some of those moves. Korea is the next big talent pool. You got to, I mean, I know you guys want Japan, and Phil wants Japan. Obviously, there's a lot of reasons, but Korea is the place right now.
I was like thinking about that like a couple weeks ago. I mentioned, I think it was on FSP. I was like looking at Crafton. I was like, they've been working on a bunch of shit, and they got PUBG. Like, that would be a good Korean studio to like pick up.
Yeah, something over there.
Jax82.
I agree.
You agree? Right on. Jax82 hit us with a $10. Says, if there's one thing I want from Xbox is communication. Let us know what's coming. If it's being delayed, it has to show well when released. No more not at launch talk. No more patch it at a later date. Yeah. You want things to be complete and polished like at launch. I agree with that.
We're in 2023.
Yeah.
Every game's getting patched nowadays, unfortunately. But I understand what you're saying. You want the highest quality possible out the gate. Yes. We all agree with that.
Real quick on my 2023 thing to be thankful for is actually that I was already thinking about this earlier, is about the continued support that Xbox has given to these titles. And like a lot of people, and it bugs me sometimes, like, oh, just move on from it, just kill it, move on from this. I'm just like, let's always stand behind your product. If you release something and it's not up to snuff, or if like people are just kind of down on it right now, or like, don't give up, like, because these games have had turnarounds, like several of them, especially when you have the idea of a game being a games as a service, which a lot of the Xbox games are now. Like, the way they turned around Halo Infinite with the content and the updates and kind of gotten things going in the right direction there, I think the future's bright, and I think there's going to be a lot of more excitement when the new things get announced down the road. And I think it's going to keep going. I don't think it's going to be like an explosion.
Yeah, the problem with Halos though is like you're not getting campaign content.
Yeah, if they drop some campaign content, that would get a lot of hype. But like, I think you're still going to see this player base kind of steadily keep growing now when new updates keep coming back, and I think you're gonna have better retention on the players that do come back and show up and stuff. So, but it's due to the work that they put in, and due to the things that they're doing, working on, and all that kind of stuff. So, but it's not just Halo; it's all these fucking games like Grounded and Sea of Thieves keeps getting content. The Bethesda games, like even when Redfall, that's a horrible example because it launched in the state it did, but the updates have been good, and I want to see them continue. So like, I want to praise that aspect of it, not the launching in a bad state or a lacking a content state, but a lot of times when those mistakes happen or those things happen, some of these publishers and some of these developers, like, oh, well, we fucked up. It's not a success. We just need to move everything on. Look at what EA has done with Anthem and things like that, right? I like to see that doubling down and get this shit right type attitude mentality, because it serves right to the players at the end of the day. Because we either bought these games or we have them in a service that we're paying for, and I like the support. And that's one of the hallmarks for me now with Xbox and Microsoft is they support their fucking games. Right? Like, nobody can say they don't support their games. They fucking support their games, and they're going to continue to do that. And I sometimes not as fast as some people want, or they make mistakes sometimes in some of the content, and there's always ups and downs with that kind of thing. But so many of their games have either had big turnarounds or grown large audiences over time because of this, right? So just keep at that shit, and if they launch in a great state and it's a huge success, there's still double down on it and support it like crazy, right? Like, then you want to keep supporting those things, which I think they've done a pretty damn good job. So for 2024, the thing I'm most hopeful for, I'm going back to Halo here. I really, really, really want to see something announced new, like a new game or something, or a new huge expansion or something with Halo. Not the regular updates or content updates for Halo Infinite. I want to see it, like it could be Halo Wars fucking 3. That would knock my socks off. I would be running around this fucking room like a crazy person if they announced Halo Wars 3, right? Or if they announced another spin-off type Halo title, right? Other than something mobile. It doesn't count. Some other kind of Halo title, right? I will lose my shit, right? I want something Halo related, big announcement.
Do a crossover skin.
Yeah, but that's not it.
Master Chief in Call of Duty.
No, I mean that'll be cool. You know, they'll get my money for that. But no, I want to see like a really big, cool Halo announcement, because that's something I felt like they needed to do a lot. Is expand Halo out more, right? Besides just the mainline franchise. So I want to see that. Please, God, let me see Perfect Dark. So, like, that game was announced so long ago, and there's been no, like, hardly any talk or anything about it. Like, just show us the fucking game. Like, I want to see the game. I want to see I want to see concept art. I'll take a fucking
segment.
Yeah, I'll take a little Naughty Dog segment at this point, like where you just stand up there and show us something. Like, I gotta see something from Perfect Dark. Okay, that was a huge announcement when they made it. They made it at the Game Awards years ago, and it's been radio silence ever since, except the like murmurings of things going on behind the scenes of at the initiative, and then when we found out Crystal Dynamics was coming on board to help with the game, just something. And then State of Decay 3, something. These games that you announced back in 2019 or 2020. I could be, I don't remember. I think, did they get announced the year before the console
Was
came
it
out,
18?
or the year no, I think they got announced in 2020, because the console came out in later that year, right?
Well, then it would have been 2019, right? It would have been 2019 Game Awards, right?
No, Perfect Dark was after the other announcements, because I think it was Fable, State of Decay 3, Forza Motorsport, and there was 2 other games that were announced. There was like 5 games there. Maybe Perfect Dark was one of them, but I think
It was Halo Infinite.
Halo Infinite was one of them. Does anybody remember the 5th game? It was the Everwild
What?
in 2020
What
At
was
the
shown?
at the Xbox showcase in 2020, the year the console came out.
Yeah, Everwild was there. Because that's we got that video, and then we got the update that they don't know what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
And then the dude left. And
Right.
then and it was supposed to come out this year, but then they said give it one more year, so it's supposed to come out next year.
Yeah, Perfect Dark was 2020 Game Awards.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
The Xbox showcase that year had those other games. Anyway, the games that were announced in 2020, right? State of Decay was one of them. Was this? Did I even mention?
I
that?
think
That was-
Hellblade 2.
Hellblade 2 may have been. No, that was also at the Game Awards, but that was in 2019.
That was the
Game
year
Awards.
that they revealed Xbox.
Yeah, that
right?
was the 2019 Game Awards, I think.
Yeah.
Halo, of course.
Um.
Halo
Yeah.
Infinite. That's when
Yeah, I
we got
remember,
the fucking
yeah.
Craig. Craig.
Yeah, that was at a later event where they just showed Halo itself, wasn't it? Or was it at that event?
No,
That was at
no,
that
it was
event?
at. Yeah, because that's the
That's
birth
right.
of Craig.
The birth of Craig. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I want to see some of those games, because those have always been in my mind ever since then, right? I just like gotta see. We finally saw a glimpse of Fable. We kind of know what Fable looks like now, so I can scratch that one off the list. There's still a couple other ones that I want to see, and let 2024 be that year. And blow our socks off at your showcases, like Dev Directs, Xbox Showcase, all that stuff. Just fucking nail it and go balls to the wall and live up to the potential excitement that you can give, because that really gets the energy going more than anything else, I think, with the communities and stuff like that. So
State of Decay 3, Forza Everwild, Tell Me Why, Ori, Outer Worlds, The Peril of
Outer Worlds
Gorgon.
2. Oh wait,
No,
that's
no.
just an expansion?
It was The Peril of the Gorgon. That was Grounded, Avowed, As Dusk Falls. It says Senua Saga.
Avowed was at the 2020 Xbox Showcase.
Yeah, it was the one with
Yeah.
the arrow flying through the castle and
that
stuff.
was the one. That was the other one then. Okay.
Yeah, Senua Saga was shown, but it was just that scouting Iceland video. Remember? It was just like that, talking about Iceland and the landscape of where they
the same shit they've been talking about for 3 fucking years.
No. This one
Yeah,
was
I
like
know.
just nothing about the game. It was fucking Iceland.
So if my mind right, that this is the showcase where like Phil Spencer's wearing the jacket, he has the blue Halo Infinite shirt, right?
Yeah.
And he said that we have 5 games that'll be like only on Xbox Series X or whatever, and then like he goes into those games, right? There's Halo Infinite and the other ones. So okay, right.
Psychonauts 2.
So Avowed, I forgot Avowed.
Destiny 2, Stalker 2, Warhammer Darktide, Tetris Effect, The Gunk, The Medium, Fantasy Star Online 2, The New Genesis, Crossfire X, and Fable.
Okay.
That was the whole showcase.
So in for 2024 lineup, we're supposed to get Towerborn, Avowed. Avowed was announced for next year.
Yeah, Avowed.
Hellblade 2 was next year. Ara for PC. And is that all we know about?
And
Flight Sim.
Flight Sim.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's already looking great. I mean, but I think they got some surprises for us too. So we'll find out. We'll find out more.
We got Stalker 2, and then we got what else we got? We got what's the other one I'm thinking about? All the games that got pushed this year, right? So what's the other one? Flintlock.
Space Marines.
Flintlock is another one that'll
Flintlock.
be Game Pass day and date
as
well.
Is it replaced?
Yeah, Replaced will be next year. Finally, we'll get that gorgeous 2D.
Silk Song maybe come out.
Silk Song should be definitely next year as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean next year's crazy, people. Next year's crazy good.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. I can't wait.
I think we'll get a new trailer for Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get some answers to some of this stuff at the Game Awards here. We'll see. And then what we don't find out about, maybe we'll find out some stuff in January or February with hopefully a new Dev Direct.
And I'm hoping for a State of Decay 3 new trailer as well.
Yeah.
We should get Aura and City Skylines 2 on console as well next year.
Yep.
Woo!
Yep.
So when does Dune Spice Wars come in console?
Is it next week? Yeah, it's next week.
So what kind of RTS is it?
Grand strategy. Well, not grand strategy. It's like 4X. It's more like a civilization type kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a demo.
Yeah, I didn't. I think I had started to download.
It's on PC.
Yeah.
Is it what's that? Is it Immortals? I think that has a demo right now on Xbox.
Yeah, Immortals of Avium. Yeah, they got a demo right now. Yep. But Dune Spice Wars, that'll be first time coming to console, so which is nice.
Yeah, I usually don't do like
Game
the
Pass.
4X like grand strategy games as much. Yeah.
You gotta try them, bro.
I know.
Telling you.
I mean, I've tried it before, but like
You like Civ.
yeah, I do like Civ.
Okay. So there you go. You're in. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Is it multiplayer like co-op or
Jasper, do you remember?
Doing Spice Wars.
Yeah. It
co-op.
just adds a lot to these games when I can like co-op against the
Yes,
computer
yes.
or something, you know.
Yeah,
Yes.
2 to 4.
2 to 4. Yep.
Nice, dude.
Yes.
2 to 4, by the way.
Let's go.
We're gonna download this and play it together, guys. We got to.
Yep.
Yeah, I played the demo.
And
the
then,
demo
and
was
then we're
pretty
gonna force
interesting.
Pong to watch the new Dune movie.
It's good.
I already
liked it.
did. I already did. I didn't tell
You
you.
did?
You,
Yeah,
you did?
Did you? How you like the first one? Or part
Uh,
one. Part one. Sorry.
I
part one.
still like the original better. It was a
Really?
good movie. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. By far.
After
I
we
like
talked
the
about it that
weirdness.
night.
Yeah, no, I like the
okay.
weird. I like the weirdness. I like
Yeah.
the old school stuff in it. This one was shot beautifully again, which I already knew it was
Oh,
going to be. It was beautiful. The music
Yeah.
was fantastic. Some of the changes were well done. Again, modernizing it and stuff like that. I didn't mind it all like that. I still like the original better, but this was good. I will say it was good. So
Okay.
for sure,
Fair.
not like fantastically great, but it was good.
Pong's a tough movie critic, so that I'll accept that.
How you
Especially
like
on my
Tarkin?
nostalgic.
You're like
stuff.
the Jasper of movies.
How you like?
Kind of, but I'm easily entertained though, because again, I like all the old cheesy movies. I'll watch anything, like
Yeah.
anything. It's
Well,
just the
that's like
modern stuff.
Jasper likes
has gotten
Crossfire X, so it's exactly
right.
You know?
No, yeah. But I'm just saying, modern stuff. I have a lot of modern stuff that I really, really love to death. It's just when they go back and redo some of the nostalgia for me,
Mhm.
that's when I'm like,
Yeah.
nah. But it was good.
But
it was
there's so
definitely
many
good.
people that never experienced or ever going to watch that old Dune stuff.
Correct,
so
and
it's
they
like,
won't go
yeah.
back and they can't watch it, right? Yeah, no, because it looks dated, and a lot of people nowadays
Yeah.
judge things that way as well and say it looks dated.
So
Hence
but would
Starfield
you say they
movies.
respected it?
For the most part, yeah. And again,
Yeah.
I never read the books, so I don't even have that perspective. I know people that have read the
Right.
books that said this movie did better than the original did with the books themselves, because the books were gigantic. So
Yeah.
I can't even go that route. So just movie to movie, I thought they did okay. Like I said, some of the modernization of it.
Yeah, I feel like it was better
well
explaining
done.
the world in this. than-
Yes, no, yes, absolutely. Dude, the original was a classic 80s sci-fi movie where it didn't have to make, it was like Kojima. It didn't
Yeah.
have to make sense, right? It just
Mhm.
didn't. You suspended all belief and you just watched the movie for what it was. And it was like, even if you didn't understand parts, you never expected to get an explanation, because they never did any of that back in the day. This one did a much better job fleshing out the story and the characters for sure. Absolutely.
How do you like the take on Baron?
No, see, I like the weird, wacky shit.
He was this
I mean, he
big
was-
hovering blob floating on
Not
his,
compared
like,
to the
thing.
original. Go back and watch the original.
Yeah.
Not compared to the original. Didn't have the same effect. Didn't have
Okay.
the same effect.
I was like, I thought it was cool as shit. I was like, man, that's so crazy, like artistic.
How he elevated like 12
Yeah.
feet in the fucking air.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Oh, look who I am.
Sitting in the oil bath.
Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna get out of here, guys. I thank you all for
Okay.
tuning in to the show. You all are amazing. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving break if you celebrate, and if not, I just hope you had an awesome weekend, and our week 2 days. We got the whole weekend ahead of us. It feels like it should be Sunday now, right? Because we had just had Thursday and Friday where we didn't do shit, which is awesome. Now we get Saturday and Sunday ahead of us, so I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, I might do a stream tomorrow. So tune into that. I'll update on Twitter, X, whatever, if I end up doing that as well. So just keep a lookout. But let's say bye to this amazing group of family here that one day maybe we can all have a Thanksgiving together. Be amazing. Who's gonna bring the turkey?
I think
You?
whoever's
'Cause-
hosting should do the turkey.
Okay.
Exactly.
So
'Cause
who's
I don't
gonna
think we
host?
can. You, because you got a bigger house than all of us.
Okay.
Bom, bom,
It's a true
bom.
story.
All right. Fine. Yeah. Everybody
Kate
come
would
to
love it.
Texas.
Caitlin's
Have
like,
fucking Thanksgiving.
we ain't
Hey,
having
hey.
fucking 10 fucking people.
Oh, she would love
No.
it. If y'all all came for Thanksgiving one year, oh my god, that'd be amazing.
What do you mean 10, Jasper? There's like 7 of us plus the +1 and any little chitlins.
Did you say chitlins or
Chitlins?
children's?
What?
Chitlins, little kids.
Children's
Chitlins?
It's a Florida thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's too many people. Today is a very eventful day.
Yeah. Let's go. Next year, guys. A fun speculation Thanksgiving. You just gotta all abandon your families. Hey, sorry, I'm gonna go talk to my Xbox friends for Thanksgiving this year, and our podcasting buddies. Anyway, Tom Fortunami just called you out and said, "No, it's not a Florida thing." Psycho.
Yes, it is. Okay, it's my area of Florida thing. God, gosh darn it.
Steel, is it a Florida thing? It Steel's from Florida. Did y'all call kids chitlins? Never heard that before.
Isn't that like a food?
That's a
Yeah,
Yes.
it is a food.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a
come
soul
here.
food.
Oh, you little chitlin. Come here, you little chitlin. You're so cute. You've grown so much, little chitlin.
Some pickling spice, some cloves. Yes.
How many chitlins are you bringing over to Thanksgiving this year?
I can hear Steel right now. No,
No,
not
He's like, not
this area.
Like, not in my neck of the woods.
Psycho was stuck 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That's what he
The
said.
people in my area is stuck 20 years ago. I'm not.
No, Decado, I
just
know
pick up-
chitlins, but I
You just,
don't call kids chitlins.
You
I've
just
never heard
pick
that
up
before.
lingo. There's just lingo that you pick up because you hear it all the freaking time.
Or do you hear it wrong and you just think it's chitlins?
There's the guy that like mispronounces every fucking name.
Who knows? I could be wrong, but it is what it
Poland
is.
Nation.
Yes.
Yeah, I could have swore there was something else he was adamant about that was like a word or something, or like something. It just was not. I can't remember. But anyway,
We call that in our family goatisms.
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 Oh, goatisms.
Yeah, because we're Greek, so goatisms.
Which is like Greeks eat a lot of goat, or
No, because my grandpa was a goat herder,
oh.
and because gyros are
So
you
you're
know,
saying
lamb meat.
in Greece when your grandfather was herding goats, he called kids chitlins?
no, the people that live in Florida that are in my area. I mean,
Okay.
they're all
They're
older
all
people.
Greek?
So, no, they're all just
They're all
old.
former goat hoarders.
Psycho lives in this like
Hoarders.
only Greek community in fucking Florida.
No,
or
that's
something.
in Tarpon. No, that's
Okay.
Tarpon.
Right on.
I'm nowhere near that.
Steele said chillins, not chitlins.
Yes. That's what
Chitlins.
Fuzzy said too.
Right.
Tom from Pajama says, as a Greek, I don't know what to say.
Oh, it was when that was right when he called it like Greek. What did you call Greek people from Greece?
Grecians.
Grecians?
Grecians.
Right.
Like Grecian
And
formula.
he said that's the most commonly used phrase instead of calling them Greek. He said like that. He said that that's what like the correct term like is to call Greeks is Grecians.
When do you start teaching English down in Florida? Psycho?
After the big giant rail that I do, and then let's go do some English.
So we looked it up and found out that it was like in ancient Greece they called to the Grecians, but like it hasn't been used in like 1,000 years or some shit like that. Anyway, interesting.
Go to the
Sensei
sponge
Matrix
docks.
says it's definitely not a southern thing either.
Listen here,
It's
son.
not.
Goddammit. It's where I am. It's where I'm from.
It's right in my living room. That's where it's said a lot.
Oh,
I mean, there are some
I didn't say it's in the neighborhood.
there are some weird things in like very specific areas, right? Like where I grew up, like we called a toboggan a hat. Like you know like a beanie, right? A beanie hat,
Mhm.
you know? We
Mhm.
called that a toboggan.
Oh, I thought it was the other way. I thought you said you called toboggans hats, and I was like,
That's what I thought. I was like,
What?
Yeah.
I was
No,
like,
like
what?
Why would
You
you,
know,
call
like,
it a hat?
a beanie we would yeah, no, like a beanie we would call a toboggan, right?
Okay. Why?
It's just what it was. I mean, there was no other word for it. Like that's what it was.
I feel like that was
We'll go to halas.
that's what
Tom.
I used to call it as a kid, and then I learned it was called a beanie.
Right.
Called it a toboggan.
Yeah,
it
we
doesn't
called
even
it
look like a
toboggan.
toboggan.
Yeah.
Where the hell did that come from?
I don't know, but toboggan is like
I've heard that, Mav. So like I got you back.
Okay,
on that
so
one.
it's a southern. Yeah, it's a southern thing. It's like a very specific southern. I said that once in Vermont. Like, yeah, I had a toboggan. They were like, "Oh, where?
yeah. What hill were you sledding on?
Yeah, exactly. They were like, "Where is it? You have a toboggan in your suitcase there? How does it fit?" And I'm like, "No, it's a hat."
got two.
You know. And they're like so fucking confused. I'm like, I swear, it's a word. It's what we called it. You know, they just didn't understand that that's just what we said.
Mav's telling
Okay. I just looked it up. All right. Toboggan and beanie are both names for winter hats, but they have different origins and meanings. Toboggan is a term used mainly in the South and Appalachia for a knitted cap that was worn when sledding on a long sled without runners, also called a toboggan. So there you go. So obviously it started where if you just saw somebody sledding, it was like, oh, they're wearing their toboggan while they're sledding on their toboggan. Like, I mean,
Toboggan.
How
Yeah.
clever. It sounds like something people from East Texas would do. For sure.
Right.
Like, because we do so much fucking sledding there.
You're right. That's what I'm saying. It sounds like people that never saw it before saw it for the first time and said, what are they doing? And they said toboggan. And they said, oh, they're wearing a toboggan. Okay, great.
Mikado says it's a toboggan. Like, he's with me, right? Like,
Okay. Yeah. No, I just looked it up. It's legit.
I feel like somebody like in East Texas was probably looking at a picture of somebody.
It's
like,
my people
on
came down to Texas, I think.
Okay.
Sure.
It was like, I saw a picture of somebody sledding on a toboggan, right? And like there was a caption next to it. It said, Gimmie and his toboggan. Somebody thought it was a hat instead of the fucking sled.
Right, instead of the sled.
Like,
And it just caught on from there.
toboggan. Okay, we don't have these here because it doesn't get fucking cold enough. So, anyway. All right. Anyway, outros. Fuck. Sorry. Psycho, where can everybody find you?
Thanks, everybody, and my weird fucking pronunciations of different words. And you can find me everywhere on social media at Psychonauts. You can find me every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday here on the Fun Speculation Network at 10 o'clock on 3 great shows that
Right
we
on.
do.
Appreciate you, bro.
Jasper, where can we find you?
You can find me out in old hollers.
Down on the holler,
Your
Lord
chitlins.
Yep. Lord Jasper,
beating your
Twitter, Lord
chitlins.
Jasper, YouTube, all that fun stuff. Monday, Tuesday, and Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, 10 o'clock right here at Fun Speculation Network, FSP Fun Pop, and Xbox Ultimate. That's where I'm at. That's what I do. Check it out.
Don't mind me, everybody. I was just putting on my toboggan.
I got
Do
you
what
back,
now?
Mav. We used to call it that all the time. It was
Right
good.
on. Respect. Fuzzy, where can everybody find you, bro?
Just it was awesome being on here with you guys. Thanks for having me. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks for joining us. For those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on X or Twitter or whatever you still call it these days. You can also find me on the Shop Podcast tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Pong and PTK Blam on PTK Blam's channel. And then right back here on Monday night at 10 p.m. for FSP with, well, I'm not sure if we're going to have 3-bit Monday, hopefully 3-bit. We'll have Jasper, Mav, myself, and Psycho. So hope to see you there.
Right on, bro. Appreciate you as well. And Pong Soul.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What a great Friday night, as always, to join the fam. Great to talk. We even got into some rants, and yes,
Well,
Siki, we did talk about that. We talked about it earlier in the show. So if you want to go back and catch Siki, you can go ahead and do that. We definitely touched on the Destiny stuff for sure. But yeah, no, what a great night. Thank you all. Appreciate it, brothers. The thoughts. Psycho, glad that you could make it, bro. I know you didn't know if you were going to be able to. So it's good to have you here, man. You always inject some different life into this show. So we appreciate that. We appreciate that, brother. It was a fun time in chat. You guys are awesome as always. Nothing but love and respect to all of you. So you guys know the drill by now. Pong So on the X, formerly known as Twitter. Pong So on Xbox. Tomorrow morning, my brother from another steel, Rain, and I get live, raw, and uncut, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. And we do have a special announcement tomorrow. So if you guys want to show up for that, please do so. Buckle up and get ready. 3+ hours. You know how Steel and I get down. We usually get the chat involved. That's generally how our shows, even on light news weeks, kind of keep going, is because we get the chat. The chat brings up some conversation and we'll run with it. So join us there for that. And then, of course, tomorrow night, as Fuzzy said, PTK Blam's channel, PTK Blam, Fuzzy, myself. Don't know if we have guests this week yet or not. Normally we do, but sometimes we run a 3-man show. So we'll see how it goes. But it is the best way to end your Saturday night. So be there. 8 p.m. Eastern now, 7 o'clock Central Time tomorrow night. The Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel. Next week, it starts all over again. Tuesdays, All Good Things Green. Double Barrel Gaming is the channel. Mr. Boomstick is the man. What a pleasure to get back on a podcast with him this morning. It was awesome. So go check him out Tuesdays, though, where he's got a great panel, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. And then right back here, Fun Speculation Network, every Thursday night, PM in the PM. Of course, not this Thursday night because it was Thanksgiving, but we'll be back next Thursday, PM in the PM. Pong and Mav in the PM, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. Be there for that. Otherwise, folks, it's the golden age of gaming. Please enjoy the rest of your weekend, however that's going, and get out there, play what you love what you play. And I'll talk to y'all real soon, about 9 hours. We'll see you there.
Right on, man. Thanks, Pong. Everybody, hope you have an awesome night. Like I said, I might stream tomorrow, so look out for that. And then we'll be back for Monday's FSP. Peace out, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.
Gobble, gobble.